There we go. Welcome to UNCHENSORED here on the Chen Dynasty, aka twitch.tv/jchensor. I am your host, James Chen, aka jchensor, and in case you are new to UNCHENSORED, this is basically just the rantings of an old man about various topics, whatever it is I feel like talking about, whether it's fighting games or whether it's video games or anything. I'm just gonna rant about anything, and of course, normally, you've been watching me stream fighting games. I'm not particularly filtered while I am actually playing, but I am actually going to. This is not safe for work. The language is not going to be particularly kind. I'm just gonna be saying whatever's on my mind at the time. So, let's talk about this here. Today, we are going to talk about three particular topics, and the first one that I want to start off with is going to be an interesting one, because it's going to be kind of counterintuitive to what a lot of people have been saying recently. A lot of people have been, very, very happy and positive recently, and I'm going to offer up a very different take on what is going on right now. The first topic, as you can see on the side, says tough FGC times. But the reason why I'm going to say this is because everybody's been saying the same thing recently, which is right now is a great time to be a fan of fighting games. Right now is a great time to be part of the fighting game community. And I'm going to flip this on the head a little bit and actually say right now, it actually really fucking sucks to be a fan of fighting games right now. Okay, I'm just gonna straight up say this right now. It sucks right now, and it is really, really difficult. Now, I'm not gonna be sitting here and saying that the variety of games out there, yeah, it definitely is wonderful. And, I still echo everything Tokido said about fighting games is something so great right now. But the problem with this is right now is there are just too many goddamn fighting games out there right now. And it's rough. It is really, really, really rough. And it's a good problem to have. I'm not going to lie, okay? This is a good problem to have, that there are so many fighting games out there right now and that they're all so fun right now. But it is painful as a fan of fighting games. Think of it this way. Say you go to a buffet, right? And everything there is super good. Every dish is super good, and you want to eat everything. You sit there and they have these, I'm speaking of a particular buffet because this actually happened, but they had duck fat mashed potatoes and these crazy creamy mac and cheese and this fried chicken, and then they have this amazing pasta, and then they have these amazing Asian dishes, and then their roast beef is the prime rib is super good, and they got these little, dude, seriously, you go to these things and there's just so much of a good thing. And then you eat, and by the time you eat the first few dishes, everything is super amazing. But then by the time you get to the end, you're so full and things aren't tasting very good, and it's so hard to appreciate it. And then you realize you haven't even gotten a chance to eat any dessert. And so you're okay, I'm going to go eat some dessert now, and then you eat that, and then basically you spend the rest of the day crumpled on the floor with basically indigestion and being in stomach pain. Right? Here's the thing, right? The nice thing about food is at least you can enjoy food in little tiny amounts. You can eat it and go, you know what, I remember eating this and this thing, which is super, super, super good. But the problem with fighting games is that's not the case, right? With fighting games, you can't just learn a tiny little bit of a fighting game and go, that was great, I will remember. No, literally fighting games take a lot of time. Fighting games take a lot of dedication. And having a bunch of different fighting games and wanting to play them all is really, really hard. There is just not enough time in my life to play all these fighting games right now. I'm trying it my best that I can, and I'm playing 3 different fighting games once a week on stream, and I haven't even touched Street Fighter V in like 2 months, and I haven't even been able to play Unist on stream or anything. It's like, and I'm abandoning games like KOF and KI and all these other games that I'd really, really like to try. And Marvel's coming out in less than 50 days. Dude, it's really fucking hard to play all these games. And on top of all of that, I don't even have a chance to go and play my desserts, aka Breath of the Wild and Splatoon, and you know, I have like the Shantae Kickstarter that I backed, and I can't even play that game. I haven't played that. I have the Last Guardian. That's what the Last Guardian, and I haven't even been able to play that yet. I have Final Fantasy 15, and I haven't even been able to play that at all. I stopped playing Metal Gear Solid 5. Dude, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. There's too many games out there to play right now, and being a fan of fighting games is rough because there are so many fighting games out there. And here's the crazy kicker part of it. They're all good. All of the fighting games are so good right now. They're all so fucking fun to play right now. As much as I rage in Injustice, it's still kind of cool getting to know that game and learning how to play it and actually feeling like I know what I'm doing in the game. As much as I suck at Tekken right now, learning Tekken has just been amazing. It's been a blast. And like playing Guilty Gear, I mean, Revelator 2 is just like one of my favorite fighting games of all time right now. There is just so many games to play. Now, let's take this back a little bit. I'm being a little facetious when I say that it sucks to be a fighting game fan right now. Maybe a little bit, sensationalistic, trying to talk about like, oh my god, it sucks being a fighting game fan. But no, I mean, let's actually talk about this from a real standpoint here, because being a person who has been in the fighting game community for 20 plus years, this current era right now of fighting games, with Dragon Ball coming out, with crossover, Blaze Blue crossover coming out, with all these different games that are still coming out for us. Fantasy Strike is coming out. Final Fantasy Dissidia is coming out. Like all these games which can qualify as fighting games. Let's talk about this from a logical, real standpoint. And yeah, I apologize. The frame rate is kind of messed up. I should rant about this too, because seriously, my stupid fucking black magic is not working. But I did get a new capture device, and that will be fixed at some point in time very shortly, as soon as I get my damn audio cables in from Amazon, which I did get 1-day shipping, so I should get that today. But I did not get it yet, so I haven't been able to fix my frame rate, so I apologize about that. So what I'll do is I'll dance around a bunch of times just to make it look really, really terrible. I'll dance while I rant. Here we go. It'll be a rant stance. There we go. It'll be dance rants, basically. That's what this will be. Dance off, rants off. That basically is what this is going to be. So here's the thing, right? Let's talk about this. Why this is actually a difficult time for fighting games from a logical standpoint. Like I said, yes, from an emotional standpoint, I think it sucks because it's too hard to play. Now, a lot of people out there aren't going to play a lot of fighting games, so the reason why it's really fucking good to be part of the fighting game community right now is, one, all the games are really fucking good and they're really fun to play, and it's just like you will enjoy yourself when you find the fighting games. And two, the reason why it's so great is because there are so many fighting games, you will find the one that appeals to you. If you don't like the way Street Fighter V plays, if Tekken doesn't end up being the game for you, if Injustice doesn't feel right to you, you will find something that you enjoy, whether it is something like, oh hey, look, Fantasy Strike is really simple, this works for me, or oh my god, Guilty Gear speaks to me on this crazy level, or Killer Instinct is really fun, or man, I really got into Unio because I like the anime games, but this one is more, level, and it doesn't have like high jumps and all this stuff. Like, you will find a game that you like. And this is actually really, really cool about being a fighting game fan. But The reason why, let's actually talk about this, like I said, from a actual logical standpoint here, and why this is a scary time for me. This happened before. This happened before with fighting games, in which there were too many fighting games to play. Because at one point in time, fighting games had a golden era when Street Fighter 2 was super popular, and it got through hyper fighting and all this stuff like that. And then there was one point in time, probably around Super Turbo to Alpha era, maybe even a few years after that, I don't have the exact time frame, is that everything came out. There was the Samurai Showdowns, the Fatal Furies, the World Heroes, the Mortal Kombats, the Killer Instincts, there was Virtua Fighter, there was Karnov's Revenge Double Dragon, there was Fighter's History, there was Mace the Dark Age, there was fucking War Gods, there was like 7 billion fighting games out there, and it came out. Let's not even talk about the Super Nintendo, okay? Because the Super Nintendo was like, let's make as many damn fighting games as possible on the Super Nintendo. Really, really shitty ass fighting games, and some of them were great, like TMNT Tournament Fighters on the Super Nintendo was actually a really fantastic game. Eternal Champions, One Must Fall. Let's talk about what was it? Time. What the hell was it? Time Killers. Oh my god. Clay Fighter came out on there. The Soul Calibur series, Tekken, of course, was around back then as well. Street Fighter EX, everybody in the chat naming all these different fighting games. Mighty Morphing Power Rangers on the Air Guys. God bless the ring, dude. Ranma 1/2, aka Street Combat. Look that up on Google. Definitely Google Street Combat and Ranma 1/2, because that you will find an interesting story. But here's the thing. There were so many fighting games out there. And actually, it was really bad for the scene. Because what happened is, I mean, just think about, like, God, I'm going to do another one of these crazy analogies because I love doing these. Think about, like, the NBA from the 80s and the NBA today. Right, the NBA in the 80s there weren't that many teams, right? There weren't 30 teams or whatever, God knows how many teams there are right now in the NBA right now. I think there's like, 30 teams or whatever. So back in the 80s, you had this pool of great talent divided on a smaller amount of teams. And so you had these teams like the Lakers that had Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, AC Green, all sitting on one team, and it's like ridiculous. And then the Celtics, you had Larry Bird and Robert Parrish and all the, dude, I obviously don't know the Celtics as well, Danny Ainge, all the other like great Celtics on the team at the same time. You had superpowers versus superpowers, and like every team was scary, every team was super good, right? Nowadays, you have 30 teams, and the talent pool is spread. Like, literally on every basketball team, there's one great player on there, except for the few superpower teams that are forming. But what happens with that? When the superpowers form, like, say, on the Golden State Warriors, you end up with, like, the East Conference basically having nothing but shitty teams except for one Cleveland Cavaliers. And if Kyrie Irving leaves, God, forget that. If he goes to the West Coast, it is just... So basically, you just don't have parity, right? You only have so many great players to fit on so many teams. The more teams you have, the overall less powerful each team on average is going to be. That was the situation back in the early 90s with fighting games. There were too many fighting games, and there were only so many players to distribute between all of these fighting games. Now, one of the hardest things, dude, Michael Jordan was so popular back then. Holy crap. Yeah, Danny Ainge wasn't a great Celtic. He sucks. He was the only name that I could remember that was on that team. Oh, what was it? The guy who had the combat basketball. Kevin McHale. Kevin McHale. There you go. There was a great Celtic. But here's the thing, right? the way that it works right now, that it worked in the early 90s, was there were too many fighting games. And one of the things that really I remember distinctly about that time, and you know, this is again a little bit of going into fighting game player psychology, but this is absolutely true, is that you love the games that you can win at, and that the games that you can win at are definitely the most balanced and the most fair. The games that you can't win at are the ones that are broken and are shitty. Excuse me. And you hate those games. So this happened a lot in the early 90s. Basically, we just had the situation where if I was good at Killer Instinct, I wouldn't want to go play Virtua Fighter. I wouldn't want to play Street Fighter. I would actually tell you that those games were shitty. I'd be like, no, Killer Instinct is the best game. All these other games suck. So I'm just going to keep playing Killer Instinct. Then you have the people like, look, Samurai Showdown 2 is the greatest fucking game on the planet. Killer Instinct is stupid. There's not even any block stun in the game. There's no throws in this game. How is this game good? Your game sucks. I'm going to go play Samurai Showdown 2. This is the greatest game. Look at the graphics. Look at the details of the characters. This game is super fun. And I'm an Ukiyo player. And of course you're going to love the game if you're an Ukiyo player, because then everybody knows this game is unbalanced as shit, right? Ukiyo was so stupid in that game. World Heroes 2, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken. The divide was huge. The divide was huge, and the golden era of Street Fighter 2 was during the time, shout-outs to Chatterbox there, shout-outs to him for the subscription. But during that period of time of Street Fighter 2, if you wanted to play a fighting game, you just played Street Fighter 2. It was the only game out there. So everyone got super good at this fighting game. Everyone had to, because you couldn't not get good, because if you weren't good, you couldn't play. And so if you wanted to play fighting games, everyone would play the same fighting games. The scene got very strong. People developed tech. Everyone was super good. And the way afterwards, basically what happened once all the different fighting games came out is that now everyone started gravitating towards the different games. And even as great as Super Turbo was at the time Super Turbo was out, Street Fighter 2 wasn't that popular. Like, it's really funny that, like, you know, people talk about how great Super Turbo was, and people probably think back in the day when Super Turbo was in the arcade, it must have been great. Like, people were playing Super Turbo everywhere. It was like, Super Turbo, oh my god, Super Turbo everywhere. It wasn't. Honestly. Like, Super Turbo, it was actually kind of hard to find competition, sometimes even in Southern California. People actually didn't really play Super Turbo that much. And then when Alpha 1 came out, it was supposed to be, like, really exciting. Like, oh my god, we finally have a new Street Fighter that's not fucking Street Fighter 2. We got a new game. And that game came out and it was kind of crap. It was really kind of crap because it was really simplistic. It had chain combos for every character except for poor Adon, who only had one chain combo. I don't know why they fucked over Adon like that. But Alpha 1 really didn't kickstart anything afterwards. And there was just basically, yeah, it was crap, exactly. Look, my point is that there was never really that kind of golden age again for a long time until Street Fighter 4 came out. And Street Fighter 4 was the game to play, and everyone played it. And that kind of recreated the golden era. Street Fighter 5 tried to do that again last year, but as you can see from the drop-off numbers from EVO, it hasn't maintained. And, yeah, I haven't even mentioned the Smash Brothers games yet at all during this entire rant so far. Yeah, the Smash games are taking a lot of players too. So right now, what's happening is that we have players going to all the different games now. So what you're going to end up with are people who are the NRS players, who are just going to be like, you know what? I don't like Smash games. I don't like these 3D games. I don't like Street Fighter. They're all garbage. NRS games are the best. I'm playing NRS games. You're going to have the anime players who are like, Guilty Gear is the best. It's a great game. Play it. You know what? Fuck Street Fighter. It shouldn't be at the end on Sunday all the time. Put Guilty Gear there instead because it's a much better game. Go play Guilty Gear instead. You're going to have the Street Fighter players of being like, you know what? If everyone was actually like trying to play this game only for money, and no one gets that money, it doesn't make any sense. People actually are playing Street Fighter because they're enjoying Street Fighter, and it's still the most entered game out of everything in most events. So I don't know why anyone's saying that. Everyone hates this game. People love this game still. And then, so what happens is you end up with this divide, right? You end up with this divide, and you're dividing the player base. You get a lot of hate going back and forth. And you know me, I'm the kind of guy who's always been preaching about, you know, the rising tide. Dude, I don't know what's wrong with the frame rate right now. I have no idea, but I'll fix that very shortly. But the rising tide lifts all boats, right? Especially in this stage of global warming. All the boats are going up. Everything's going up all at the same time across the entire planet. But here's the thing, right? So it's scary. And I preach this a lot. I preach the ability to try to be more positive and more inclusive with different fighting games. One of the reasons why I've been streaming so many fighting games recently, such a variety, is because I'm really trying to put my money where my mouth is. You know, I tell everybody to appreciate all the fighting games. I tell people to play lots of games, and that's what I'm doing. Yeah, Injustice 2 is not my cup of tea, and some people are asking me, why do you keep playing if it bugs you so much? Because I want to learn to love the game. I want to learn to appreciate it. And despite the fact that it's hard for me to play, I do have a fond appreciation for that game now because I've put so much work and effort into it. Still want to get better at it. Guilty Gear, obviously, I love that game to death. I don't need to go on about how much I love Guilty Gear and how much I think that game is great. Tekken. I have never played a Tekken in my entire life, and now I am playing Tekken 7, and I am having a fucking blast on that game. That game is so good. That game is so much fun, right? And this is the thing, right? This is why I keep trying to promote this, because the division in fighting games is a problem. I've seen this in the past. This was in the early 90s when people started dividing, the fighting game community died. And with so many games coming out, with Dragon Ball coming out, now all the people who are hyped for Dragon Ball are like, yes, Dragon Ball's awesome. See, this proves MVCI is shit. I hope that game fails. No, you don't hope that game fails. Like, don't do that, right? Don't fucking do that. Like, Marvel players, don't sit there and go, yeah, you know what, Dragon Ball is going to be turning out to be a simplistic piece of crap. No, don't do that. Enjoy all the fucking games right now. This is the point. Like, the main reason why I am hopeful, the main reason why I am optimistic, okay, so Boats and Joes asked, didn't the death of arcades contribute as well? Sort of. It definitely was a factor in there, but, and you know what, Mad Catz fixed a lot of this problem too, because the home system, one of the big problems was you just didn't have the right controllers to play fighting games. Especially for people who were used to the arcade and the joystick. So Mad Catz actually solved a lot of that problem for Street Fighter 4. That was a bigger problem, in my opinion, than the death of the arcades, was that none of us could play fighting games at home the way that we wanted to play in the arcades because we didn't have joysticks for that. But yeah, Spike says it. People only have so much free time, they can only play their favorite game, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not worried about, you only playing one game. But the point is that you need to support all the other fighting games. Because in the 90s, it was such a battle. It was such a battle. Everyone was fighting for different fighting games. Everyone thought every other fighting game was shit. And it caused the collapse. There is the dark ages that a lot of people get mad about. Because they're like, what are you talking about, Dark Ages? There were plenty of Guilty Gear games. There were plenty of Tekken games. The only game that stopped coming out were Street Fighter games, so fuck your Dark Ages. Everything was still great for the other games, but it still felt like dark. And see, this is what I mean. It's all contention. It's all contention. It's all people yelling at each other, getting mad at each other about all these different games and everything like that, and I feel like that caused a lot of the downfall of the fighting game community because too many people were spread across too many games. Now, we are definitely running into that situation now because back then, one of the best things about it was there was almost kind of a self-filter, right? In the fact that KI was a pretty shitty game. Alpha 1 was a pretty shitty game. Virtua Fighter 2 wasn't all that. I mean, it was a great game, don't get me wrong, but it was kind of wonky at the time. It was hard to play. Samurai Showdown 2 was imbalanced as fuck, right? So, like, there was kind of this self-filter that you just didn't really have to play a lot of these games if you were serious about being competitive because most of the games were not balanced at all. In fact, you know, when I hear people tell me that they think games like Injustice 2 or Street Fighter 5 is imbalanced, I laugh. I mock you. I spit in your general direction. Like, to tell me that those games are imbalanced, to tell me Street Fighter 5 and and Injustice 2 are imbalanced, like, dude, let me tell you something about imbalance, okay? Like, you don't know what imbalance is. Like, those games are like the fucking most balanced fighting game. Those games are practically Karate Champ compared to what we had to go through in the 90s playing fighting games, right? Like, I don't get how people are telling me that these games are imbalanced. But that's the thing, is nowadays, all the fighting games are good. People actually are making good fighting games now with good balance. Like, balance is the one thing people understand a little bit more when making fighting games. They're a little more cognizant of it. Back then, I don't think they cared. I think they just made fighting games, and they just made characters that were fun to play and were cool. And if something turned out to be broken, they were like, meh, whatever, just let it rock. But here's the thing. Nowadays, there are all the fighting games are good. All of them are good. Like, I'm not even going to sit here and pretend that that any of them aren't good. One, because Street Fighter Cross Tekken is dead. Oh, and you know, two, all the games are really good right now. So I enjoy all the fighting games. I legit think they're all amazing games right now. And so there's only so much time that you can have to play all the different games. So, the main thing that keeps me optimistic, and again, this is the beauty of this show right here, is that I just keep ranting off topic. I've meant to jump to this point like 10 minutes ago. The main reason why I'm optimistic, however, about the fighting game community today is because despite the fact that there are so many games, and I'm worried about that, and it does suck to be a fighting game fan right now because there are so many games. The reason why I'm optimistic about it is because I feel like the pool of fighting game players is significantly larger today than it was before. Thanks in large part to Street Fighter 4. So keep that in mind. Think about that for a second. But if you actually were around that time when Killer Instinct 1 and Virtua Fighter 1 and Alpha 2, I believe, was around at that time, and, you know, all these games, at that time, if you had EVO and sent everybody who loved fighting games to EVO, you wouldn't even get a fraction of what we got at EVO the last 2 years, right? The amount of people watching it, Twitch, obviously streaming has helped a lot. We have so many more fighting games fighting game fans than ever before. And it's huge. It's super, super important for that. And that is the one reason why I can be optimistic about this and not think to myself that this is going to be a time when, you know, it's going to, makes me hopeful that history will not repeat itself. That we will be able to sustain through this period of too many fighting games because we have so many players that want to play that we're not going to spread ourselves too thin. We're not going to get to the point where games don't feel supported and such. But it is kind of happening already. Games like KOF feel like they're kind of falling by the wayside and such. It doesn't feel like they have as big of a fan base as other fighting games. This is why I encourage you to try different games, play different games, and support different games. You know, just be supportive, back all these different games. And really, the fighting game community does not benefit by you hoping that a game fails or you publicly talking about how much a game sucks, because all the fighting games are great right now. Yes, they all have problems, but man, I will get to this in the next topic, but man, fighting games have never been great. Okay? Fighting games are amazing games, but man, they're all so flawed. And like I said, I will get to that in the next topic. But here's the thing. Support all the different games and continue to support all the games and continue to introduce fighting games to your friends. And keep an open mind. Just because you're waiting for Street Fighter to come on, don't, sit there in the chat and go, man, Injustice 2 sucks. When Street Fighter? Get this shit off of here, blah, blah, blah. Take the time to sit down and watch those games and really appreciate what those games can do, what those games can give you. We're at a time right now where we understand fighting games a lot more. We can be a lot more logical about it. And yes, I'm doing this whole thing right now where I'm preaching love and, hugs and arms and everything like that. But no, seriously, the positivity is only going to help the fighting game community, okay? And we are in a dangerous time. I'm not even going to front on that. I am legitimately worried because we have so many fighting games, and you can see it already with the DBZ versus MVCI, kind of talk right now. You can see that it's already starting to divide, and people are like, I want these games to fail to teach Capcom a lesson. And you guys don't really understand that, making fighting games these days is way more expensive. So if a game like Street Fighter V or MVCI fails, we're not getting another Street Fighter. We're not getting another Marvel vs. Capcom. That's not going to be something that Capcom will learn and fix in Street Fighter 6. That's it. If Street Fighter 5 fails, I'm pretty sure that's it for Street Fighter. At least for another 15 years, kind of like the Street Fighter 3 to 4 block, right? We're going to have to wait another 10 years before we get another fighting game, another Street Fighter like that. So Street Fighter V is already in a pretty decent place. Let's improve on it. Let's make it better. Let's be public with our criticisms. Let's talk about what's wrong with the game, but let's not hope death on any game, right? And let's try to see if we can maintain all these fighting games. Let's see if we can actually survive in an environment, because the other reason to be positive is that the streaming era is here. And so we do still get exposed to a lot of these games. We do get to see KOF on stream. We do get to see KI on stream, Injustice on stream. Every once in a while we'll see Skullgirls on stream. Hell, even games like Super Turbo and Vampire Savior had giant entry numbers at Combo Breaker this year. Old games can get some play as well. This is an interesting time, and we are more equipped to fight the spreading of too thin of players. We are more equipped to fight that than ever before. We can actually survive in this era of too many fighting games. But again, not to be all rainbows and sunshines and puppies and everything, but that really comes with positivity. So that is my lesson for this topic right here. Let's try to be positive about all the different games. Take the time to appreciate them. But just to close off on this topic just a little bit here, man, especially as a commentator, especially as me who wants to learn to commentate as many games as possible, it really sucks right now. Fighting games, it really kind of sucks to be a fan of fighting games right now because there's just too many games to play. I don't even know what to do. I'm a full-time streamer now. My job is to sit here and play video games all day, and I don't have time to play all these video games. Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. My whole job right now is to do nothing but play video games and stream, and I do not have enough time to do this. I do not have enough time to play all the fighting games and my desserts that I want at the same time. It really kind of sucks right now. So, and someone asked the question here, and if you guys do have any questions, feel free to tag me with the jchensor tag in the chat. So, yeah, and Boats and Joe said it, if you can't love a game, just don't say anything negative about it. Don't talk shit about it just because it's not for you, right? Yeah, I mean, unless it's Street Fighter Cross Tekken. And then Dojo Madbone says, don't you think the companies have more to do with the game's success than the players? Capcom are wrecking themselves, not haters. No, I don't think that's true at all. I don't think that's true at all. And in fact, I think tournaments like EVO kind of prove that, right? You have the situation where, you put BlazBlue and KOF into EVO and people didn't support it. Right? But, it's really about the players. It's really about the players. Capcom isn't even necessarily wrecking themselves. It's just really gotten to this point where all of a sudden it's become this in thing to hate Capcom. There's really a hive mind out there. Because literally, if you look at the history of Street Fighter V here in Season 2, the turn happened really quickly. The shift happened very, instantaneously. There was the weekend of Combo Breaker, Red Bull Kumite, and E-League Finals. Street Fighter had this amazing event in France, thanks to Red Bull. They had Combo Breaker, one of the greatest events, and the Street Fighter V was really hyped there. And they had the E-League, and I remember that weekend, everyone's talking about like how great this is, how amazing this is. Look at Street Fighter V, it's getting all this show and everything like that. And then E3 rolled around, MVCI came out, and now all of a sudden everyone's like, Capcom deserves to die and fail. Everyone deserves to die and fail. And that shift happened so suddenly. Everyone was really positive for a while. And then all of a sudden, as soon as MVCI came out with the story demo and everyone was mad at MVCI, like that immediately shifted all the hate towards Capcom. And I get it. A lot of people are disappointed at the way that Marvel is turning out right now. But I don't buy into the hate. I don't buy into the hate, and I'll get into that in the next topic. But let's see here. If the FGC doesn't have enough players to support all the games financially, doesn't it make sense that a few games dying fast, though the ones that can left work out financially, is a good thing for the FGC? Could be. I mean, it's kind of a survival of the fittest kind of thing. But sometimes the games that cannot support themselves financially are actually some of the good games out there, right? Like Arxis hasn't really been helping all that much in Japan recently. But Guilty Gear and BlazBlue are amazing games. You know, games like Injustice, Warner Brothers has been putting more money into their games. And even SNK has been trying to do a lot to support KOF. But like the amount of support from the company doesn't necessarily, like financial support from these companies don't necessarily represent which games deserve to come and go. But if you're saying it doesn't matter which game deserves to stay because they all deserve to stay, and that, you know, just let the ones that are not financially backed fade away so we have less games to play, I mean, that might just be a situation that we can't do anything about, right? That just might happen. And it's unfortunate because that means some great games will go by the wayside. And that's another reason why it's tough to be a fighting game fan. Because what if you do dedicate your whole entire life to learning Guilty Gear and you become the super great Guilty Gear player and Arxis ends up doing nothing for the game and then the competitive scene dies? Now you spent all that time on your favorite fighting game and it went away. So that's another reason why it's a dangerous time to be a fighting game fan. You could be putting all your eggs in a basket that has no legs, right? That you pick up the handle and the handle just snaps and then the basket falls and all the eggs crack all over the ground and you're like, well, damn. And that's it, right? So it is a dangerous time. It is a dangerous time. And some people did say it was not suddenly. It was pretty sudden. Yeah, it was definitely growing. There was a lot of disgruntledness from people in Season 2. There was definitely some disgruntledness. But there was a legit turn from where it went from people being disgruntled and being complaining to now, I really hope Capcom dies. Like that kind of flopped right there. And Diecast asked, why is SF the king of fighters? It's always the headline at the big shows at EVO. Is it just because it's OG? No, because it gets the most entries. It gets the most entries and it gets the most views. It's just what it comes down to. More people play Street Fighter than any of the other fighting games. You put a lot of the other fighting games at the end, they just don't get as many views. So you save the one that gets the most views for last. That's smart stream business, basically. Because if the most popular game is halfway through the day, most people will watch it and then go away. And then no one watches the rest of it. That's just all it comes down to. So, yeah, but Kappa hates everything, right? I mean, so that wise guy says Kappa has been against Street Fighter V relatively early. Dude, this is why a few streams ago I talked about why Kappa is dangerous. Because, honestly, And again, Kappa's gonna get mad at me again, but they shouldn't have a say in shit, right? Because they don't actually fucking play anything, right? They're just watching. And like, to have them be such an influence and have them be such a strong voice in the community is more dangerous than anything. Because they are cancer, they're poison. Like, that shit should not be flying right now. People think Kappa is the voice of the community. That's why a lot of people think that, you know, everyone is mad at Street Fighter, even though it has the most actual players and people still playing it and actual people enjoying it. Because people take the voice of it too seriously. And it's seriously a bunch of people, like, I've said this before, if the fighting game community disappeared, a lot of the people on Kappa will just go find another game to watch, or they'll find another hobby to go enjoy. Right? There's no stake in it for them. Right? But for me, for people who are actually playing this game, who are playing fighting games, this means shit, right? Like, they can say, I hope Capcom dies because they fucking suck. But as a person who's been in this for 20-some years, I know if Street Fighter dies right now, if Street Fighter dies, the fighting game community is done, right? And it sucks. It sucks that that's the case, but Street Fighter is the heart of the fighting game community right now. It doesn't have to be in the future, but it is right now. If we can get to a point where Street Fighter can die and the fighting game community can live on, then by all means, let Street Fighter die. I couldn't give a shit at that point in time, but we are not at that state right now. We are not at that point. If Street Fighter dies right now, the fighting game community becomes 99% Smash. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you that's exactly what's going to happen. And people don't understand that. People don't understand that, and people don't believe that. And that is a huge, huge, huge problem. Okay? And that's the thing. If I was just a viewer of this, I can sit here and talk about I want Street Fighter to die and go away, and I'll be fine. Because if Street Fighter dies and the fighting game community dies, I'm like, whatever. But me, being James Chen, as somebody who's grown up with fighting games for 20-some years, who loves fighting games to death, if Street Fighter dies, the FGC dies right now. And I do not want that to happen, and people have to understand that. People have to understand that. Yes, we should get to a point where if Street Fighter dies, the FGC doesn't care. We're not at that point right now. Street Fighter is the one that started the Capcom Cup. You think there would be these King of the Iron Fist tournaments? You think there would be these Warner Brothers series? You think that there would be all these world championships for all the different games if Capcom didn't do Capcom Cup first? No. You think that we would have all these fighting games right now if Street Fighter 4 did not reignite everybody? No. You think that we would even be in this period of time right now if Street Fighter wasn't the main... Like, Street Fighter is on TV. It's gotten on ESPN. It's gotten on TBS. It's gotten on the Disney Channel so many times already. More than the other fighting games. Street Fighter is leading us there. It doesn't have to stay the leader. But right now, fact is fact. Street Fighter is the leader. If it dies, the fighting game community goes with it right now. I'm just speaking facts right now. I'm not even trying to be biased. I'm not a Capcom fanboy right now. I'm not trying to apologize or shill or anything like that. I'm just speaking exactly as the truth is right now. Okay? As a person who has been in this community, I understand the ebb and flow of what happens. If Street Fighter dies, the FGC dies with it right now. It doesn't have to be that way, but we're not there yet because nothing has reached the level of Street Fighter yet. Okay? So, if you're sitting there and you have a bunch of people who are sitting there watching and say, you know what, I'm okay if Capcom dies, that's because they have no stake in it. And that is why it's so dangerous to have this giant force out there that people seem to interpret as like the voice of the entire community when they're not. They're just the loudest people that are there, and they hate everything because for some reason they think that everything is about hate, and it's funny to hate, and it's funny to be assholes about everything like that. And that's just not the case. That's why I don't want to listen to them. That's why I don't even take any credence to anything that they say, because they do not have a stake in this like a lot of other people do. And because they don't have a stake in this, I do not care what it is that they say. I'm sorry. I know it's going to turn me into this public enemy number one on Kappa again, but I don't really care because, you know what? They're not helping the scene at all. I just talked about promoting positivity. I talked about being understanding other fighting games, about trying to support and trying to mold things into a better place. That is what's important. That's what we need right now. We need that kind of positivity to make the FGC work, not a bunch of people yelling and talking about how shitty everything is. So there you go. Sending people to tournaments, whatever, dude. Like, God, that is such a smoke and mirror. Let me tell you about that, right? Doing all that stuff where they're sending people to tournaments, it's great. But it's basically a political ploy, right? That's all it really comes down to, right? You're like, oh, we are valuable because we send players to places. It's like, fuck, dude. Like, what the hell? Like, you know, if that really what is important is supporting the community, then fucking support the damn community. Then be damn positive about the community. Don't sit there and talk shit about everything and then do one thing that makes you think you're all great because a bunch of people pulled a bunch of money together to fly one player out to a tournament. Like, that's just a political ploy. That's just a political move. That's not putting your money where your mouth is. You know what I mean? Like, if you really want to support the community, then you support the community. That's the bottom line, okay? That is the bottom line. Done, okay? So again, be positive, be positive. Always try to keep a positive mind things. Hating games is not the right way to go. It is just not the right way to go. You have to understand that. That is the only way we're going to survive. Because if we do not do that and everybody is mad and everybody hates every other fighting game, we are going to have a repeat of the early 90s and we will crash again. The FGC will crash and burn again, just like it did before. And we cannot afford that to happen. We are at a great place right now. We are strong. We are supportive of ourselves. We are still grassroots. We don't rely on anybody else. Right now, we're in a great place, but we're still sitting on a house of cards, man. We have a fucking 50-story house of cards right now, but all I have to do is just blow it in the wrong direction, and the whole thing comes toppling down. We need to keep building that foundation, and that foundation is only going to build through positivity. Positivity. And yeah, Max is absolutely right. Modern internet, they like blow-ups, they like being angry. The social media scene is very, very toxic, and it's very, very dangerous. But I think we can do it, though. I think we can actually get to the point where we're actually doing good for the FGC. We can be positive, and that's what I'm trying to do as much as possible. So, how do I feel about major influencers on YouTube? Excellent Adventures, Maximilian, focusing so hard on the negatives of Street Fighter V. It's fine. It's fine, because a lot of the people who do focus on the negative of Street Fighter V, who actually play it, are doing it from the point that they want it to improve, that they hope that they get their voice heard. I've done it. I've complained about Street Fighter V on the Tuesday show plenty of times. I've talked about how I hate crush counters and footsies. I talked about how I'm always talking about how much I hate input buffer. I always talk about how I hate the fact that there's no execution in Street Fighter V. Like, all these things bother me, but I say these things because I hope it'll get fixed in the future. That's all. That's all I'm trying to do. That's all I'm trying to do, man. I'm trying to make it so things are getting better. So that's the situation here. The fighting game is in a dangerous state because actually that's a good one, though. I'm glad people brought it up. The social media, the loud people, the squeaky wheels on the internet really have painted the FGC into this negative space. And in fact, I've been really stressed out in this past year, as has been a lot of people that I know who are in the FGC because of all the negativity. You saw Vi tweeting about it recently. He's like, man, I've never seen everyone so negative about the fighting game community recently. What's wrong with everybody? Even Vi sees it too. Yeah, exactly. And Maximilian just said that he doesn't complain about a game without showing its strengths as well. But the internet only sees black and white. That's basically it, basically. And Valentine Gaming says, if it doesn't get fixed, do we keep supporting? I think that's the issue. No. I mean, that's the thing, is if it keeps continuing that way, but the thing about it is, let Street Fighter die a slow, painful death to give time for the other games to rise, to give Injustice time to become a huge game, to give time for Dragon Ball FighterZ to become the biggest game in the fighting game community, to give time for Smash Brothers to become the biggest game in the fighting game community. We just aren't necessarily there yet. The problem with Smash Brothers is that it's not that there's anything wrong with the game. The game is fantastic. I love Smash Brothers. The problem with Smash Brothers right now is that they're kind of exclusive. Like when they run Smash tournaments, they don't run any other fighting game community games. So that is kind of why that's my area of concern about the Smash community. Like if their events, they actually threw a bunch of fighting games, I think that would actually be much cooler. But that's not what's going on right now. So I think that's a problem right now. But yes, we are in a dangerous situation in the fighting game community, and I see it. And I see shades of what happened in the 90s. And I lived through that, and I saw the fighting game community die. And I saw the Dark Ages show up. And I still remember in 2008, going into EVO in the Tropicana, with the Street Fighter 4 beta there, no one had any faith in the Street Fighter 4 beta. Everyone looked at it and was like, this game doesn't seem very good. And EVO 2008 was empty. It was empty. There was barely anybody there. It was probably as big as a standard major was. Major is today, much smaller. And I literally sat there, and everybody in there was an old face. There was not a single young person in there. And I was like, this is it. Fighting games are done. We're all going to move on with our lives, go do something else, and this is the end of fighting games. And in 2009, Street Fighter 4 came out. Grand Finals, Justin Wong, Daigo Umehara, Rebirth. And everything was different then. And it was unlike anything I'd ever seen. I still remember after EVO 2009, sitting on a chair on the stage, like completely winded. Like I just didn't know what happened, because it was so unlike anything that I had ever seen before. And I still remember it was AJ Papa and Kelly Klein, who was the photographer that year. They like walked up to me and they asked me, so what'd you think of EVO this year? And I just said, if you told me 10 years ago this is where we would be in 10 years, I would have thought you were lying. And I saw that, and that was the start of amazing stuff. And the fighting game community grew, and it keeps growing till this day. And I can recognize the same kind of bubble coming. It's the same time frame. Street Fighter 2 came out around 1989-90, and in 10 years, the fighting game community died. Street Fighter 4 came out around 2009. Guess what? We're 8 years in now. It's the same time frame. The reason why I'm talking about this topic is that I am scared. I am scared right now because history may repeat itself. And let's hope it does not. And the number one way to stop history from repeating itself is to know about history, to know about why it failed. And so the reason why, I kind of brought up this topic in this, clickbaity way that it's a shitty time to be a fan of fighting games, is mostly because I just kind of want to warn about these things. I want people to understand where we are in the fighting game community. We are in a dangerous precipice right now, but we have the ability to fight it. We have more tools than ever. We are more well equipped to fight it than ever before. And that is why it's important. That is why we need to do this. That is why we need to be positive, and we need to promote fighting games and not wish death upon any games. If it happens by natural course, if it's through natural Darwinism that some games die, that's fine. But to sit there and try to be negative and try to cut down games and hope that they fail before they come out, not going to help anybody. Sorry, not going to help anybody. And a lot of people don't understand how companies work. They don't understand how scenes work. They don't understand how growth works. Okay? People do not understand this. Guys like Tom Cannon and Tony Cannon and Wizard understand this. Tom Cannon said we're moving to consoles in 2004. Everyone said you're killing the fighting game community. No, they understood exactly where it was to go. And they made a very unpopular decision. And in the end, it was the correct decision. That's the thing that we're doing right now. We have to continue to make potentially unpopular decisions to make things continue to grow. And so people have to have the foresight People have to understand it's not so black and white. It's not as easy as you think. Oh, if Street Fighter V fails, that means Street Fighter 6 will learn. No, if Street Fighter V fails, there is no Street Fighter 6. That's the kind of thing that people have to understand. So, let's be positive, positive. No more angry James. No more angry James. No more stay angry. Let's be happy now. Let's be happy. Positive. Let's promote all fighting games as possible. Let us try to be as positive of a voice as possible. Let's try to make sure as many games succeed as possible. We can do this. We can do this. We can make the FGC a wonderful, wonderful place. So, someone says that Street Fighter V is not recovering. I don't necessarily believe that it's done. I think it can recover. I think it can recover. It's going to require a major change in Season 3 because it's weird. Because in the end, their decision to not release sequels like Second Impact or Alpha 2 or CVS 2, I think is actually hurting them more than anything. Shout outs for the bits. Shout outs for the bits, sir. But I feel like that's actually hurting them. I think they do need to release a sequel. I've talked about this. Super Street Fighter V can fix a lot of things, but they're going to have to change the UI. They're going to have to change a lot of things and make it look like a different game. That's something that's very important. But I talked about that in a previous episode of UNCHENSORED, and you can check that out on youtube.com/UltraChenTV. Yay! Anyways, over 100,000 new copies sold recently of Street Fighter V. I didn't know that. Was that thanks to Evo? What are the main things I would like to see in Street Fighter V? I would like to see a reevaluation of the input buffer system. I would like to see a reevaluation of the crush counter system. I would like to see new UIs. I would like to see polish. Remember when Vanilla Street Fighter, actually some people might not even know about this, but when Vanilla Street Fighter 4 went to Super Street Fighter 4, all of a sudden the UI changed, the character select changed, they had a different announcer voice and all these things like that, and it was weird. Like, when I saw Super Street Fighter 4, I was like, holy shit, like, this game is actually, like, it's polished now. This is cool. Like, it's weird what a fresh coat of paint will do to your mind. That's what Street Fighter V needs right now. It needs a fresh coat of paint. Because by the time we hit Street Fighter V Season 3, that's the same amount of time that we went from Street Fighter 3 New Generations to Third Strike. Okay, New Generations came out around 97, and I think Third Strike came out in the US around 2000. It's only 3 to 4 years. So honestly, if Street Fighter V can get its shit together and in Season 3 or Season 4 really rebrand itself, I mean, because Street Fighter 3 New Generations sucked, and people love Third Strike, right? Street Fighter Third Strike is a paragon in our fighting game community. And that happened in 3 years, 3 to 4 years with rebranding. If that can happen with Street Fighter 3, then that can happen with Street Fighter 5. So, there we go. Gameplay. Yeah, I mean, I talked about gameplay stuff as well. Like I said, I want higher execution. I want more creativity in that game. I want the game to be sick. You know, I want more of that kind of stuff in there. There just needs to be a lot of evaluation on how the game is played. There needs to be an extra defensive option, etc., etc., etc. So, what do I not like about crush counters? I think crush counters in footsies is dumb. Or just make it so that nobody can dash up and combo. Thank you for the subscription, J-Rock. Shout outs to you. Much appreciated. Arigato. Shishia. Thank you for joining the Chen Dynasty. But if nobody can dash and combo after a crush counter, I'm fine with that. Like, if the best you can do is crush counter shoulder tackle, crush counter dash punch with Balrog, if that's the extent of your crush counter punish, that is good. Crush counter, dash up, low fierce, up ball, charge into super, stupid. Okay, that's basically what I want to do. So, in any case, man, I got way angrier than I thought I was going to get in that discussion there. Okay, let's go ahead and take a break. Let's take a break so I can relax a little bit. And then I can get into the next topic about the high fighting game standards, which kind of ties in with this whole entire thing. So I will be right back, guys. And we will talk about fighting games and the standards that people are holding them to these days. Be right back, guys. Be right back. Yes, drink some water and wash away the salt. Drink some water. All right. Be right back, guys. Be right back. Sorry again for the frame rate being so god awful here. And what the heck happened to my topics? XSplit, why you do this to me? XSplit, why you do this to me? Oh, thank you for the host, Mario 1080p. Where did my topics go? Why have my topics disappeared? XSplit is doing some weird things to me right now, and my frame rate is garbage. So I apologize once again about the frame rate here, and I don't know why my topics have disappeared off to the side. All I did was change views. What in the world are you doing? Dude, I have no idea what the heck is going on. But, you know, before I continue, I want to just say a couple of things. One, again, sorry about the frame rate. This will be fixed very shortly. I have a new capture card that's coming in that I have heard has no issues with there. Shout outs to Nick for the subscription. Much appreciated. Secondly, stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. Third of all, this is just shameless plug, shameless promotion here. I mean, I can't even really promote it because I don't think you can get it anymore. But, I mean, shout outs to the shirt. I actually love this shirt. I just got it recently. It was a basically a supporting the angry Asian man blog. Basically, if you guys follow me on Facebook, you can see how angry I get about Asian representation in media and stuff like that. I can talk about that for days. It's actually a sign on Twitter that a lot of people don't see, that I get mad about that stuff all the time on Facebook. But it was also drawn by one Coquette on Twitter. She's also the author. She's also the artist on the new Legend of Korra novel, graphic novels that are coming out. So I had to support. So I just thought that was really, really cool. No, I haven't dropped soda. Not at all. Not at all. So I don't know why the topics have disappeared on me. I don't know what happened here. What is going on, topics? One thing I do want to also say is that, yes, I'm being a little unfair to R Kappa because there are definitely a lot of people on there who are good. There are positive people on R Kappa. Why is XSplit doing this to me? Seriously. Jesus, this thing is like chugging away because my frame rate has basically died to the point of nothing. But there are some good people on R Kappa, and you know, the hardest part is that the loudest people are the people that are talking on there, and the reputation for them is really negative, right? And it's funny because like everyone has this, understands that the reputation for Street Fighter V is that it sucks, so everyone buys into it. So, you know, in a way, I'm kind of buying into the negative reputation of R Kappa, right? Whereas R Kappa might not even be as bad as the last time I was there. But, like, the thing about it is, though, you got to do something to fight that reputation, right? And if you're going to do that, you got to fix the moderation a little bit. And I still know that they get all mad about a bunch of different things, and they're really negative. Like people said, they do hate on Street Fighter V, and they, like, are really, really, really mean about it. And so some people are saying that it's still garbage. I don't know. I haven't been there in a while, but just from what I'm judging. And, you know, the fact that some people can actually appeal to R Kappa to get a power play, you know, like that. It's like actually a political power play now to be like, hey, you know what? Let's go R Kappa, because if you can get R Kappa on your side, and they will turn on you really fast because R Kappa turns on people super fast. But if you can get on their good side, then weirdly enough, that means something in our community. Like, that's a problem. That's a problem. I'm sorry. That's a problem that getting in the goods with a site like R Kappa is actually good for you in the community. Like, I don't know. That's just silly to me. It's just silly to me. In any case, let us move on to the next topic right here, which you cannot see at all because XSplit is weird and the frame rate sucks and everything is all shitty right now. I don't know why this is happening. No, but you know, XSplit, hopefully, like I said, I don't think it's XSplit's fault. I think it's actually my capture card's fault and causing a lot of processing and chugging and stuff like that. So I'll fix that. I'll fix that. So, okay. Let's see here. The next topic is supposed to be high fighting game standards. Standards in fighting games. God, I can't believe that rant went on for an hour. I didn't even mean it to go that long. So, dude, yeah, if you can, Max, that would be awesome. I would love that if you could help me fix all my shit here because this streaming is a blow up, man. Streaming is a blow up. Don't get me ranting on streaming. Maybe I should. Maybe I'll do that for UNCHENSORED episode 4. I'll take some time to write up, to kind of write up in my head what I want to rant about for streaming, because God, it sucks. In any case, let's talk about the high fighting game standards. Do you think we're stuck with these barebone characters? Do you think they'll add more normal specials to existing characters? It's absolutely possible, 1891. Let me talk to you about Alpha 1 to Alpha 2 and CVS 1 to CVS 2. Both of those games started with very, very much more simplistic controls, very, very much less moves. And then the next game, they added a bunch in and made it more robust. So it's definitely possible. I don't know if it's within the goals that Capcom has for Street Fighter, because I know they want to keep away from proximity normals, close-up moves, to make it less confusing. But I think that's a mistake, because I think the utility of that, because you create characters with knees like Laura because they're supposed to be good close-up moves. You want the close-up combo moves. But then at range, it actually becomes super effective. Now, if Laura had a different standing medium kick than that knee, and that knee only happened when you were close up, so that at max range where the knee actually hits, you come out with far standing forward, you get completely different situations, right? That knee is designed to be a close-up move, but they accidentally made it work in far range footsies. And so that's the issue right there. So that's why I feel like proximity normals need to come back. But again, I can go on for hours about that. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll, next UNCHENSORED episode, I'll just do a big old, dump on what I think Street Fighter V can do to fix itself. And maybe that's what I'll do. So, any case, let's talk about the empty topic here. The empty topic here, which is supposed to be high fighting game standards. This has been really bothering me recently, because it's going to sound weird when I say this, because I'm coming from two different places, thinking about it in two different ways. But a lot of people keep talking about how shitty MVCI is, and I keep talking about, look, MVC2 had shitty graphics. There was no new characters in MVC2 except for 5 characters. You had Marvel's Superheroes versus Street Fighter. There was not a single new character in that game except for the parody character, Norimaru, who never even showed up in the Western scene. He wasn't there. Because he was just an inside joke to Japan. He was a comedian in Japan who made fun of Street Fighter, so they put him in the game and made him really shitty in the game. So that was their whole inside joke with that character. I talk about things like that a lot. Man, fighting games a long time ago sucked. I don't know why people, you know what? Compared to what they were a long time ago, these fighting games are great. Balance is great, all this stuff is great. And then everyone's like, yeah, but we should have higher standards for fighting games now than we did back then. We should expect more out of our fighting games now than we did back then. Why? Okay, because let's say it from a different perspective, okay? We should have lower standards for those games back then. We shouldn't care if the games were shitty back then, but we should care now. No! We cared whether the games were good back then, just like we do now. Why should we have more expectations for fighting games now than we did back then? Back then, when the games were shitty, we were pissed off too. We were really fucking mad at those games too. When MVC2 came out, you don't know how mad people were that they took away the medium buttons. They're like, that. How do you play this game if I can't even get my strong and forward moves, my medium punch and medium kick moves without doing chains? This is the stupidest thing humanly imaginable. CVS 1 came out with 4 fucking buttons. 4 buttons. Punch, punch, kick, kick, that's it. I don't even know if people know this. CVS 1 had 4 buttons. That was it. It was terrible. Footsie sucked in that game because you had to do offensive crouch to get sweeps and defensive crouch to get crouching medium kicks. It was really, really shitty, right? Now, Alpha 1 had fucking chain combos. What were they thinking? Jesus Christ, that was the stupidest thing that they could have done. They gave everyone chain combos and they didn't balance it. Like I said, poor Adon had standing medium punch and a crouching medium kick. That was his only chain. And standing medium punch didn't hit anyone while crouching. So you could never land that damn thing. Meanwhile, Ken could do low short, low forward, stand roundhouse at like every range and get like this awesome combo. Like, why? What the fuck? Like, where's the balance now, right? Jesus Christ. Now, okay, let's shift gears a little bit here. So let's not, one thing that I am ignoring is the technical aspects of, one, technology, and two, balance, right? Yes, we should 100% expect more out of our fighting games through balance, because people do understand that balance is important in fighting games. Now, esports, the one thing that esports has done good for fighting games, it has made sure that balance is important. It turned a creator like Mori, who created Blaze Blue, laughing at poor Breaker Dave dying to 100% Kokonoe combos, to now Mori seeing that Galileo Dogura top 8 at EVO and understanding how much this means to everybody. And now he's actually more concerned about proper balance in his fighting game. Like, yes, we are at a point where we should 100% be more critical of the balance of fighting games, because the fighting games are so much, people understand now what balance is about. So we should expect better balance out of fighting games. Technology, aka netcode, aka, you know, that kind of thing, right? Just not having shitty loading times or something like that. You know, yes, we should expect more out of our video games than we did before. So if we had shitty netcode for CVS2 on the Xbox, the original Xbox, I can't even call it the Xbox One because Microsoft is stupid and they fucking named their consoles the dumbest way humanly imaginable. But on the original Xbox, they created, they had CVS2 netcode. I was so excited to play this, and it was the shittiest thing ever. Yes, we should expect more out of our netcode right now. Yes. You should all be using GGPO. I don't know why you're not using GGPO. Just use GGPO. Stop trying to create your own GGPO. Just use GGPO. Why is my phone ringing? Who is trying to call me? I don't care right now. I don't care about you. I'm in the middle of a rant, damn it. I'm in the middle of a rant. Balance is more important for viewers than players. No. That is actually completely the opposite. Balance is more enjoyable for viewers than it is for players. I'm sorry, balance is imbalance. Having a game imbalanced is better for viewers than it is for players, in my opinion. Because having shit that's broken is fun for viewers. It's really fun. X Factor is broken as shit, but like that was one of the greatest viewer mechanics ever created, right? It's fun. That's why you get excited when you see someone like Kuroda or Hayao use Q or Hugo respectively and kill a Chun-Li. Because for viewers, that shit is awesome because you know about the comeback factor. So for viewers, that's amazing. For players, it sucks because, yeah, you made that comeback that one time. How many times did you fail in that comeback? Lots of times because Chun-Li is broken as fuck, right? So that's just the way it works. So, I mean, it depends. It depends on the situation, right? I mean, yeah, because, like, people get bored seeing the same character over and over again. Yeah, sure, maybe, but it does create underdogs, and people like underdogs. People like underdogs, basically. So, back to the original topic at hand here, the missing topic that's not here for some strange reason. I have no idea why. This is high fighting game standards. So again, technology like net play and stuff like that, yes, we should expect better out of it. But the thing about it is, what a lot of people don't understand right now is that video games are really hard to make now. And video games are super buggy, and it's like almost impossible not to have them come out this way. And a lot of the things that cause problems in fighting games are not created in a vacuum. They're direct results of stuff that happened before, right? And so the standards review, so you can't tell me not to compare MVCI to MVC2 because MVC2 came out that long ago. Like, MVC2, like I said, when it came out, everyone was mad at it. The graphics are really shitty. All the animation frames were gone. Like, watch Colossus's twirly move. Like, watch Colossus's twirly move in Children of the Atom where he grabs you and spins you by your feet. Watch it in Children of the Atom, go watch it in MVC2, and you will cry. But the thing about it is, in MVC2, they had to cut out the animation frame so that they could load 6 characters into memory at once, right? It's just a technical limitation. You just have to deal with it, right? But it didn't stop people from getting pissed about it a long time ago. And so that's what a lot of people don't realize right now, is that there's just a lot of technical limitations. There's a lot of problems when making video games. And video games are hard to make these days. They went from like 12 people probably worked on like a game like on the Nintendo, like some of the greatest games that you love, like you sit there and you go make like a Mega Man 2 and you look at the credits for Mega Man 2, probably a fraction of what you would get from the credits from like a Call of Duty game right now, right? Like the amount of people who actually work on video games these days, the amount of moving parts, the amount of potential for a game to break is gigantic. And so I'm a lot more lenient with that kind of things, right? As long as Marvel versus Capcom Infinite, for example, as long as Dragon Ball, as long as any of these games play fine, I'm okay with that. You know, like, yeah, there's going to be problems like the Chun-Li face is like, what the hell's going on? But, like I said, if the netcode for MVCI is bad, then forget it. Then just forget it. Then forget it at that point in time. Like, there's no excuse for that. They should know better about that situation, though. They should definitely understand that. But then let's take a look at a game like Street Fighter V. But hang on a second, let me answer some questions here. Guilty Gear Xrd sign was made by 25 people. That's just ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous. That's so crazy to know. That's so nuts, dude. That's so nuts. If they can put out a really polished games with tons of content, why can't Capcom? I don't mean that as a criticism against Capcom. I'm legit curious. Capcom can absolutely do that, but they're just having resource issues. I really don't feel like a lot of people are working on Street Fighter V as many people think. And again, that's kind of a frustration situation. And also, Street Fighter V was the result of a lot of misread ideas, right? So here's the thing, right? Street Fighter V, I don't know what got it into their heads that one-player content didn't matter. And I think it was because they were trying to look at other games. I think they were trying to look at other franchises like, you know, like a game like Overwatch comes out, and there's no single-player mode in Overwatch, but nobody gives a crap. Because no one expects single-player content in Overwatch. But what Capcom failed to realize was that first-person shooters and fighting games have very different audiences and very different experiences. Street Fighter is a one-on-one game. It gets tiring when you lose that much in fighting games. And so that was just a really, really bad read on their part that they didn't need one-player content. And so it, like, sucked. So, like, the fact that they didn't have the one-player content was a huge problem. That was a huge gaffe. But then you see the gameplay of Street Fighter V, and you're like, man, why is the gameplay of Street Fighter V so bad? Why couldn't they learn from the past or whatever? Dude, Street Fighter V is a direct result of the past. People sit here and talk about how in Street Fighter IV, oh, that game was so great, footsies were good, game was fun, it was fast, and blah, 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 blah. Man, I said this a billion times, but when Ultra Street Fighter IV was at the end, I kept talking about how good of a game it was. I was like, Ultra Street Fighter IV is in a really good place. It's really well balanced. I think the game turned out well. I think this game will go down in history as like one of the better Street Fighter games. Everyone was like, shut up, James. You fucking Capcom shill. You stupid Capcom fanboy. Ultra Street Fighter IV sucks. I hate uppercut FADCs. I hate Elena. Focus attacks make footsies really, really fucking stupid. Like, man, the complaints about Street Fighter IV went all over the place, and I was known as a Capcom fanboy for defending Street Fighter IV. And now everybody's like, oh, you know what, Street Fighter V is garbage, Street Fighter IV was the greatest game. Well, Street Fighter V happened because of that, right? No one liked uppercut FADCs, so they made uppercuts really dangerous. Then they took it too far and got rid of all the invincible uppercuts, which I think was a shitty move. I still think it's a terrible move. I still hate that. I still complain about that. But they got rid of invincible backdashes. They got rid of, you know, they tried to do so many things that were a direct result of what people were complaining about for Street Fighter IV. And you ended up with Street Fighter V. So they actually did take into account things a long time ago. But then, you know, it's funny because then you see stuff like Birdie doing the jump light kick, and then on the way down he becomes invincible, right? There was that one bug in season 1 where if you did light kick on the way up, and he would come down invincible, and people were like, man, fuck Capcom, they don't know how to make games, look how buggy their games are. And then I just saw a video in Tekken 7 where someone did like a death fist with Paul against Heihachi against the wall, and like Heihachi literally like teleports across the entire wall, and it's like, what the heck is going on? Akuma throws a fireball and it goes backwards and kills Asuka, and like, you know, like people see that and they laugh, and they're like, haha, that's funny, because they love Tekken at the time. And like, dude, fighting games are just buggy, dude. I don't even know how to explain to people that fighting games are so hard, super, super hard to make work correctly. And like, people talk about like how we should have these higher standards, and I think that's unfair to fighting games, because in that kind of aspect, in terms of the gameplay stuff, in terms of bugs, in terms of like weird shit happening, I don't think that there's anything they could do to control that. To be honest with you, like, that's just going to happen. I've already said this in a previous Tuesday show. I have said this. MVCI is going to be so full of bugs. It's going to be so full of bugs. Because the way that game is designed, with the ability to switch at any time, there's going to be these weird one-frame switches off of one particular capture state that's going to try to start animating, and they're going to hit the switch button, and it's going to screw up the camera, and all of a sudden the camera's going to be at the feet, and you're going to be like playing over here, or like something's going to happen where two people tag at the exact same time when both of their characters get capture stated, and then all of a sudden all 4 characters are being controlled on the screen at once, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, shit like that is going to happen all day, and people are going to use that, and they're going to talk about how shitty that game is, and then a bug is going to happen in Dragon Ball FighterZ, and then no one's going to care. Everyone's going to think it's funny and it's cute. Cookie Puss actually says he's more mad that Capcom focuses more on costumes than on balancing or fixing games. Well, this is such a problem. I mean, one of it is that, you know, they need to make up for the fact that the game didn't sell very well. So costumes actually directly result into income, right? I hate the fact that they keep making costumes for the same damn characters. You gave Ibuki a schoolgirl outfit? What was her default costume? Where's my alternate costumes for, like, Zangief, and for, like, Fang, and for, like, Bison, and all these other characters? I don't understand it. Like, it makes me mad, but they probably sell well. And to be honest with you, the amount of work it probably takes to make costumes is probably a lot smaller than it is to fix a lot of these bugs in the game. Fixing gameplay stuff, you know, I'm glad they don't fix a lot of the gameplay stuff between seasons. That's why I'm hoping for Season 3 for the major change, not to change anything in Season 2. But fixing bugs and doing stuff like both players can select rematch and stuff like that feels like a simple fix. Probably not. Probably a lot more complex than you actually think it is, because as a former programmer, I know how shitty these kind of things happen, and that it's just not as straightforward. There's been a lot of times I've been working on code and I'm like, oh, this should be an easy fix. And then I go and actually try to code it, and I'm like, holy shit, if I pull this part out and I put this over here, that changes the way this API works, but then that also affects this, and oh my god, this touches so much code. Oh my god, this touches so much code. And if you're a coder, you know, the more code you touch, oh, red flags, red flags, red flags, red flags everywhere. So, you know, a lot of these things are not as easy to fix as you think. I think, personally, a different camera angle for Ken to end on in the versus screen can't be that possibly hard. But maybe it is. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Do I think that Dragon Ball FighterZ and Tekken get a pass because they're pretty? That's how I feel. I'm 100% sure it's unfair. It's not even just that they're pretty, it's that they're really well-made games. Holy shit, they're really well-made. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Street Fighter V is a well-made game, because it's not, right? It's not a well-made game. I think the gameplay is fine, but like everything outside of that is just not well-made at all. Like the online is not very good. The UIs aren't very good. Like I said, the button select's not good. Like a lot of these little weird things. There's a lot of weird things about the game. But Tekken and Dragon Ball FighterZ, well, Dragon Ball FighterZ, we don't know anything yet because it hasn't come out yet. But a lot of people are giving it a pass because the game looks so fucking beautiful. It's so beautiful. Oh, like Dragon Ball FighterZ, like seriously, like brings tears to my eyes. Like it really just, God, that game is so beautiful. That game is. Let's see if I can do this properly here. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Dragon Ball FighterZ is so beautiful. And in any case, it really is a beautiful game, man. But we'll see what happens when it comes out. We'll see what happens when it comes out. But but I mean, to be honest with you, that's the thing, right? Is that for me, I don't see it as like Street Fighter V is poorly made, and so fuck that game. Like, please make it die. Like, I see it as like, please, let's have these lessons be learned. Let's see if they can make the game better. And, you know, back again to the original topic here about having standards about fighting games. Yeah, there's a lot of technical things that you'd have standards for. MVCI absolutely should not look as horrendous as it does. Like, there's no excuse for the Chun-Li walk animation. There's zero excuse for Chun-Li walk animation. I don't get that at all. But I do know for a fact that one of the things that happens when you work on a game is that you start becoming blind to things. You really do start becoming blind to things. I've talked to enough people who work on video games that you forget. When Marvel vs. Capcom 3 first came out, it had all those crazy hit sparks. Like, whenever you hit, like, sparks would, like, fly out of people and explosions are everything. People don't even see that anymore. Nobody even sees that anymore. I don't even notice the sparks anymore. But when I first started to watch Marvel, I was like, what is going on? Like X-23 slashed at this guy, and then there's like fucking like 7 giant rays of light flying out of like their back when they get slashed. It's like, what is going on? It was really, really crazy. But people forget about these things when they design the game, and they grow blind to it. I was even told that there was one particular feature in Marvel 3 that they couldn't figure out a good way to make it work. So they they changed it to a certain system to come back to fix later. He just forgot. Just never went back to it. And it led to infinites in the game. But in the end, it didn't really matter, right? The game is still awesome. People are playing it. And so that's just the thing, right? Like, these things are just going to happen with video games. The developers themselves are in such a weird bubble. Like, I don't know if you've actually sat there and looked at code or looked at something that you've done like for hours and hours, and at some point in time your brain just becomes numb to everything. I like that New World Order. Yeah, in development it's easy to start enjoying the smell of your own farts. And I do apologize about the swearing, but you know, that basically is what UNCHENSORED is about. But I'll try to ease up on it. I'll try to ease up on it for your daughter. For your daughter. I'll just be like, what the is going on around here? You know. But yeah, you really do get numb to the code. It's really tough. It's really tough. So oh, you were just joking? Okay. Fine then. Well then, you know what? That's just not going to sound right. I'm not going to say it because that would get clipped and everything would just be like gone. Anyways, NBC's horrible menus. There was literally a black screen on the versus menu. Yeah, like there's just so many like weird things. You become numb to it, and so you know stuff like Chun-Li's face and her walking animation. Like I don't know how that makes it into a game like at all. Like, Chun-Li's walking animation is almost on par with MKX Katana's crouching kick. That kick where she just, like, lifts her leg, like, whoop, 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 like the stupidest looking kick ever. Like, but you know what? Someone probably animated it, was like, I'll change this later, and then you just forget, and then it's just there. It's just there, so. Oh, man. But, so, again, yeah, the reason why... So, again, it's not that I'm saying, okay, let me summarize this topic really quick. Because this topic was supposed to be the short topic. The topic here I was saying that holding video games, the fighting games, people are holding to too high of a standard. I'm not saying that, like, you shouldn't hold these games to a high standard. You absolutely should. Like, these games should be coming out. They should be great. And absolutely, everybody who's told me, like, I can't support this game, I won't buy it, my response to them is, good for you. Absolutely. Vote with your wallet. If that's what you want to do, vote with your wallet. That is 100% the correct way to handle the situation. Don't buy the game if you think the game doesn't deserve your money. If you think it's shittily made, don't make it. My whole argument is that, why do you think it was okay that we would have lower standards back then? Like, that's the part that drives me mad. Like, we had super high standards back then for video games as well. And MVC2 and, like, those kind of games. Like, MVC1, holy shit, that was a pretty game. Holy shit, that was a pretty game. People loved that game so much. You know, and it was like all these brand new characters, and it was great. And then MVC2 came out and it was nothing but reused animation sprites. There was like 3 backgrounds. And like people were wondering, what the fuck is this Take You for a Ride song that's going on in the menu screen? Like, what is going on? Like it's interesting. Like, I just don't see why the standards should have changed. We had high standards back then. We have high standards now. So I should absolutely be able to compare games from back then till now. Yeah, things like I said, balance, net play, that kind of stuff needs to be addressed. But that's overall technology. But in terms of making a game is hard. Making a game is a lot of work, and it's bugs are going to happen. There's bugs in every game, and just depending on whether you like the game or not is whether or not you accept it. Right? You're just like, oh, that's fine. Like, have you seen that combo video for Venom where he, like, throws somebody, turns them into a ball, like, hits them, YRCs, teleports to the other side of them, hits them, and then they fly against the wall, he teleports to the other side, hits them, teleports to the other side, hits them, and, like, does this pseudo-infinite back and forth, just, like, knocking the guy back and forth. Like, you see that, and you're like, that is awesome, that's funny shit. If that happened in Street Fighter V, people would be like, fuck this game. So, honestly, like, just, if you don't like a game, if your mind is negative and you see something like that in a game, you're going to be mad at it. If you love the game, you see something like that, it's going to be funny. And so, it's just like, they're all going to end up that way. And, you know, I kind of hinted at this before, but, like, I've said this, like, all fighting games have been shitty. Right? I mean, some people have actually tweeted this out. Like, the day that everybody realizes that every fighting game has been imbalanced and has been really shitty is the day that we all enjoy fighting games again. And really, back to the whole negativity thing, like, I just feel like that these high standards that everyone's putting on these games, these self-imposed high standards, really has kind of hurt our enjoyment factor of these games to the point where we see a 20% completed game and it is now the messiah of all fighting games, and, you know, it is going to be the greatest fighting game of all time. We really have no idea. But, I mean, honestly, the game looks beautiful. So, I mean, and from what we've all played at the demos, like, God, that game just makes you feel like a badass. Man, it feels so good. Like, just, like, when shit happens in that game, it's just, like, you just can't help but get happy and smile. Seriously. But, no, see, what Tokido meant by fighting games is so great, and I know you're just joking, but still, I mean, just to clarify, like, how I've been saying, that fighting games are flawed. They're just fundamentally flawed. I shit on Third Strike all the time because all the Third Strike fans think Third Strike is flawless, and I think that's garbage, right? That game is so flawed. But then again, I think Super Turbo, my favorite fighting game of all time, Super Turbo is one of the biggest flawed pieces of crap ever. But I love that game, and I love the flaws. It's like a relationship. It's like a relationship. You can tell when you're with the right person and that you love a person because all of their flaws are endearing to you, right? Whatever it is about other girls that you're with, and they do have this weird annoying habit, like when they eat or something like that, and you're like, God, I can't stand this. But, like, if there's someone that you love, you'll find their flaws endearing. And that's the way it works. And that's why when people sit here and complain about fighting games, like, this fighting game sucks because of this and because of this and because of this, it's just because you're already predisposed to hating that game. Whereas the people who love the game, they'll find it endearing. So you know what? Just let it rock, man. Let it rock. So, in any case, there's anything smacking your lips while you eat. Wow, I really did pick a good example, huh? I would patch out 12 despite David. Probably. Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to jump to the next topic if there's not any last second questions that people want to talk about. Again, I completely veered off topic. The high standards thing, I keep trying to bring it back to that, to the original topic, but I keep veering off. I apologize about that, but let's move on to the next topic if there's no other questions. So I'll just wait to see if there's anybody in the during the break, and if there are, then I'll answer them when I come back as usual. But in the meantime, I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I just want to talk a little about Splatoon 2 and some of the crucial mistakes that they're making with that game, and I think it's going to be tough, especially if they're trying to turn esports into if they're trying to turn esports into a Splatoon game. If they're trying to turn Splatoon into an esports game. So when we come back, I'll talk about that. So I will be right back. There we go. Thank you, XSplit. So, welcome back to UNCHENSORED here on the Chen Dynasty, aka twitch.tv/jchensor. Speaking of the Chen Dynasty, there's that's basically what I have decided to lovingly call my stream. It's now called the Chen Dynasty. But one of the members of that you can see as a moderator in my chat here, Mr. Boats and Joes, took the time to create a Chen Dynasty Discord, basically where people can converse with me, talk with me, give me topic ideas for UNCHENSORED, all sorts of things like that, and we talk about different fighting games. I talk about my levels of salt. And people try to encourage me to not get so salty on the stream and everything like that. But Boats and Joes has put the invite link in the chat there. So if you're in the chat right now, you can click it. But also, if you are willing to, you can also use the permanent link that I've just put up here. And you can join the Discord over there and just talk about all things me. Haha. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, there's like matchmaking forums in there. So, you know, if you guys want to do something like play some Guilty Gear, like not on Thursdays when I'm not running the beginner lobbies and stuff like that, you can ask people, hey, anybody down to play some Guilty Gear, you know, and stuff like that. So, definitely check that out if you do get a chance. So, there you go. Yes, I am Master Chen. I am Master Chen. Yeah, so that's basically what I am right now. What's the highest level of salt? Chen's Tears. That is the highest level of salt. So, you got a Splatoon add-on refresh. That's really, really funny. There is no Not Safe for Work channel. Sorry, that's not going to happen on there. So, it's not going to happen. Alright, so definitely join that if you want. Yeah, that's why like all of my subscription stuff like that, I'm like, thank you for showing people to the Chen Dynasty, or you have become a general in the Chen Dynasty. It's also very Romance of the Three Kingdoms related, because I'm a huge fan of Romance of the Three Kingdoms, you know, with the what Dynasty Warriors is loosely based on. Don't get me started on Dynasty Warriors, but like, you know, the whole Cao Cao, Liu Bei, Guanyu Zhangfei, Zhuge Liang, you know, Sun Quan, Lu Bu, all that stuff, all the Dynasty Warriors stuff is based off Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Huge fan of the book. Huge fan of the old Koei Romance of the Three Kingdoms games that were on like the Nintendo all the way through all the later platforms and stuff like that. So, Cao. I will kill you, goldfish. Cao. I forget what it is. I forget what the accents are for him. Like, I know, like, for example, Guanyu is Guanyu. Like, and Zhangfei is like tone 1-1 and stuff like that, but I forgot what the Cao Cao tones are. In any case, no chance for Dynasty Warriors, because I hate Dynasty Warriors, because I hate what they did to the Romance of the Three Kingdoms characters. Yeah, someone actually told me Kuime Embu was based off of that, but I do not want to know what it is. I don't want to know what it is. Dude, Asian Pikachu, that doesn't help me. I can't read Chinese. I can't read Chinese. That doesn't help me at all. Oh, it's Cao. Oh, okay, Cao Cao. Is it really? Is it? That's what it is? No. I'm reading it wrong. It's Cao Cao. Okay, there it is. Thank you, Investigation Cone. Much appreciated. Okay, so in any case, let's talk. Oh, look at this! My topics are back. I don't know. I guess I should. Again, apologies about the frame rate. That will be fixed very shortly as soon as I get one more part in from Amazon.com, which should be arriving later today because I one day shipped it. So I should be able to get that, and hopefully from that point on, my capture will be fine instead of this weird choppy bad frame rate. Like I could probably do stuff like. Oh, yeah, did you see that? That first move looked like I teleported, dude. I 100% caught it on the right spot. That was awesome. Okay. Oh, yeah. Junho says he likes my t-shirt. Shout-outs to the... Cao Pi, yeah, exactly. God. Dude, we used to play... So my friend, when I was growing up, he had a hyper-fighting cabinet in his house. This fellow by the name of Roger Sahavo. Shout-outs to Roger. He had a hyper fighting cabinet in his house, so we would always go to his place and play hyper fighting deep into the night. But he also had a Super Nintendo off to the side, and so we would play a bunch of Super Nintendo games, and we would play these Romance of the Three Kingdoms games. And there was one character, very important character, by the way, old man general named Huang Gai, right? But like... My friend started joking that he was like one guy, right? It's like, what? Oh, look, you got defeated by one guy. Oh, you captured one guy. Like, they just kept making this bad pun. And at the time, it was hilarious. Now, I think it's racist. But any case, the shirt that I have here, once again, shout outs. There's a blog out there called The Angry Asian Man, and, you know, it's a free blog out there, and he basically survives only by, fundraisers and stuff like that. So he had a t-shirt fundraiser. This was the t-shirt that you got if you donated to him, basically. It's a blog that just basically talks about Asian culture in America, and if you don't know, on Facebook, I'm yelling about this all the time. I actually don't talk about it much on Twitter or in, like, streams or anything like that, but I am... super angry and pissed off all the time about how Asians are represented in media, and maybe I could actually just do an Uncensored about that, because Uncensored could be about anything, so you could find out about that side of me that a lot of people, unless you're on Facebook, don't know about me. But so I read a lot of stuff that's on the Angry Asian Man blog, and so I wanted to support. Donate to them, and this right here, and also, by the way, if you try making friends with me on Facebook right now, I'm sorry, I'm probably not going to accept, because my requests are full, and I have, like, at one point in time I accepted too many, and so, like, my friends list is gigantic, so my wall is a mess, and so it's kind of crazy. But the shirt was also drawn by a good friend of mine. She is an artist who goes by the name of Coquette on Twitter. She's currently the artist for the new Legend of Korra Turf Wars graphic novel that's being released very soon. She's doing a signing tour right now for that, and it's really cool. She's also an amazing singer, let me tell you. Holy crap, she's ridiculous at karaoke. But so I figured I had to support that. So I do have a Facebook fan page, but it's been like defunct a little bit. But you can absolutely go there. You can actually go there. You could do facebook.com/jchensor. I'm pretty sure is my fan page on there. So, yeah, don't get me started on the Asians in movies. Otherwise, I'll be talking for the next 3 hours about that, because that shit drives me up the fucking wall. Like, ugh. The way they treat Asians in movies, like, God. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to get into it right now. Let's talk about... Next topic here. Let's talk about the next topic here. Next Uncensored, I will talk about it. I'll talk about it. Dude, do you understand that's like one of my favorite things I love about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Like the fact that they have two super badass Asians. Of course, one of them is half Asian, but they have two badass Asians on there, right? Chloe Bennett and Ming-Na Wen. Dude... freaking Ming Na Wen is like 50 years old or something like that, and she's just, gosh, she's still so kick-ass. It's so great. Don't get me started on Ghost in the Shell right now, please. But, dude, Agent May, shit, man. So, yeah, Irene Ko, same person, Coquette, Irene Ko, yeah. But, dude, Chloe Bennett, like, she's, dude, like, if you want me to start talking about one of the things that pisses me off the most, she's always one of my number one examples, because look her up on YouTube. Look up Chloe Wong, W-A-N-G, and look up, I think the song is called Uh-Oh. So look up Chloe Wong Uh-Oh on YouTube, and you will find an interesting side of Chloe Bennett that you did not know about. But sure enough, her dad is Chinese. Her mom is Caucasian. So she took her dad's last name. She's Chloe Wong is her real name. But she had to take her mom's maiden name because she would not get any auditions. She got 0 auditions as Chloe Wong. Nothing. Turned in her resume everywhere. Got nothing. Changed her name to Chloe Bennett. Boom. Got called in for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Got on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and now she's the main character on that show. So, yeah. Let's not get me started on that. Any case, let's talk about Splatoon Esports here, shall we? Let's talk about Splatoon Esports. I've been playing Splatoon 2 a little bit, and I love the game. I love Splatoon. I love everything about Splatoon. I think it's a great game. I think it's super fun. I'm shitty at it. I've never played a first-person shooter, even though it's a third-person shooter, but still first-person shooter mechanics, etc., etc. I'm terrible at the game, whatever. But you know what? It's really fun. I really like it. I really like it. But I really want to talk about one thing that is really, really pissing me off about Splatoon 2, and I think it's such a missed opportunity, and it's just a really, really terrible, terrible thing that they did. And that is, it is actually harder to level up in Splatoon 2 than it was in Splatoon 1. So if you guys don't know, as you play the game, you get experience points, essentially, for how much turf you ink, for little bonuses that you do for winning matches and stuff, and you level up. Now, normally that's fine. That's fine because the levels, don't really do super much for you. But the problem with it is that the weapon choice is locked behind levels. So in other words, there's probably like 20, 30 weapons, 40 weapons in the game maybe. I don't know. I know there's a lot of weapons in this game. But the problem with it is locked behind this level grind, and it takes more points to level up than it ever did before, I feel like it. It's really, really irritating. And why is this really irritating? Well, here's the thing, right? I get it. I get why you did it. I get why there's this progression system built into the game, because what you want is you want people to experience the game in a specific way very early on, and as they continue to play, they get exposed to more things, and then they can broaden their stance, right? This is kind of how I talked about, this is kind of the model that I've had when I talk about playing fighting games. I did this in Tekken 7. In fact, you can actually watch me do specifically this during my Tekken 7 sessions, which is you start with your pet moves. Who cares if they're the right moves? Who cares if they're the good moves? I found a few moves that I thought were good, and I stuck with it. I'm going to play the game with a tunnel vision, and I'm going to limit my mind just to those moves and play those moves. And then as you play with only those moves, you start realizing situations where you are definitely missing something. And then you go look for other moves, or somebody else tells you another move to use, and then your vision expands and you can shift your game. And it's a great growth strategy. It is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful strategy to hone people in. Fighting games do not teach this, which is why that is how I teach fighting games. I teach you to limit your view first and then open up your view. So that is why what Splatoon is doing is correct. For Splatoon 1. Splatoon 1 was a brand new franchise, and the grinding was quick. It was a lot faster. But everybody was new to the game. There wasn't even any of the ranked match modes. There was no of the tower defense. There was no capture the flag stuff. There was no King of the Hill, right? Which they all have, but in their own names. There was only turf wars at first. So they taught you this very limited game, but it was a brand new game. And so that was good that it was teaching everybody that. But you built a lot of fans. in Splatoon 1. You built a lot of fans in Splatoon 1, and they're all coming to play Splatoon 2. So for a lot of the new players just learning Splatoon 2, this might be a decent way to learn. But you've got a bunch of people here who have played Splatoon 1, and now you're locking them behind all this shit that they've got to grind. And it's irritating. Like, I played Splatoon 1. I get the game. I know what I'm supposed to do with the game. I want to have access to all the shit that I can do in this game. I hate the fact that I can't experiment with different weapons, that I have to keep leveling it up, and it takes forever to level up. I'm only at like level 10 right now, whereas in previous Splatoons I'd probably already be at like level 16 or 17, because you need so many more points this time to level up. And so I don't have access to a lot of weapons. Every level seems to only unlock one weapon right now, and it's really, really, really annoying. It's really, really fucking annoying, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And on top of all of that, on top of that just being bad for your people that already love your game, right? You're hindering fans of the game who already love your game by locking them behind this kind of grind fest here. And like, there probably should have been a way that you can, like, somehow, like, a patch came out for the Splatoon 1 Wii U, or maybe you can upload your status to, like, your Nintendo account, and then your Nintendo account can go say, oh, here was your level in Splatoon 1, I'll download it here on Splatoon 2, and then I will just unlock the weapons for you. You still have to build up your levels, you still have to level up your clothes, but I'm just going to give you all the weapons right now, because I can see you've played a lot of Splatoon 1. You have all the weapons already here in Splatoon 1, so we will just reward you by giving you all the weapons. You can play with whatever you want. And I think that would have been a better way to do it if we can actually have that happen. My friend code. God, I have my friend code on my phone. I don't remember what it is, but I'll take care of that later. But in any case, like, there had to have been some way that makes it so that the game knows that you are indeed a Splatoon fan, and they don't have to lock everything behind everything. Now, here is the even more damaging situation here. Here is even the most... Oh, I should put it on Discord. Good, smart idea, Mr. Friday. Okay, so here's the most damage. So join my Discord. You can see right here, there's the Discord link for the Chen Dynasty Discord, so that you can talk with me over there, give me ideas for topics for UNCHENSORED, and give me ideas for games to play, even though I don't have time to play any of these games. But here's the biggest problem for Splatoon 2, having it this way, is that Nintendo is obviously trying to make a big push for esports for Splatoon 2. At E3, they had a really cool tournament over there, which a lot of the FGC guys actually worked on. I believe Tenno Productions helped with them. Kugi helped design a lot of their graphics there. Nintendo loved the work that he did for them. D1 obviously was doing a lot of the commentary for Splatoon, I think, over there. Or was he doing ARMS? I can't remember. But, they're making a push for this esports thing. Okay, so we're going to watch Splatoon. Let's watch Splatoon on esports. I'm going to see someone playing with the mini Splatling, the Gatling gun, the Splatling gun over there. Shout-outs to Fat Body for the host, showing people the Chen Dynasty. But you're going to watch these people use these really cool weapons. And you're going to be like, this game looks fun. This game looks sick. I'm really enjoying this game, watching this game, and it looks fun to play. I'm going to buy this game, and I'm going to play it. And you end up buying it, and you don't have access to anything that you see on stream. And that's a problem. On esports, right now, at least give us the option to pay money to unlock everything, right? So even in League of Legends, if you go in there and play, you only have some free champions at the time, and if you want to play other champions, you got to pay for them and stuff like that. That's a free-to-play game, so I mean, it kind of comes with the territory and everything like that. But there is nothing that's blocking you access from playing one of those characters right away. Yeah, you have to level up and grind to get things like teleport dash and stuff like that, which is also, I think, kind of annoying, but I understand it as well. But you still have access to at least all the characters if you're willing, and especially the fact that I think when you first sign up for League of Legends, you get enough points, Riot points, to get at least one character, I think, most of the time. So if you have someone that you really liked a character of, you can at least get that character. So for me, I remember when I first started playing League, I got the character that I wanted to play right away. I think that's super important. I think that's really important to have, because the thing about it is, if you lock everybody behind this grinding system, and they're not going to get to use all the different weapons after watching it on esports, it's going to be a problem. And then here's the second bigger, even massive problem for trying to turn this into esports. All right, I'm this organizer, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know about gaming generations. I don't know they exist. I'm going to run my own Splatoon 2 tournament. I'm going to run this really cool Splatoon 2 tournament. So let me buy all these Nintendo Switches. Good luck with that, by the way. But let me buy all these Nintendo Switches. I'm going to buy all these Splatoon 2s. Can't have a tournament. Can't have a tournament because nobody has their weapons, right? I mean, like, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? You're screwed. You're done. There's nothing you can do, right? I don't know. Are they going to try to set it up so that you have amiibos and you can bring the amiibos in and like maybe have the amiibo detect it and automatically load stuff that's even locked? I don't know how that's going to work, but it's just such a problem. That's why fighting games these days have kind of started easing up on the whole unlock the character thing. True story. True story. I don't know how many tournaments that I went to for vanilla Street Fighter 4 in which before the tournament started on Thursday, I sat there and unlocked all the characters for the consoles. Like, literally. Beat the game with Sakura. Beat the game with, I think it was Ryu to unlock Sakura. Beat the game with Sakura to unlock Dan. Beat the game with Bison to unlock this character. Beat the game with this character, with this character. I had it down to a science. I would do two of them at the same time. I had two consoles at the same time that I would do it on both. Like, because you just set the game to one round on easiest difficulty. It's like, kill this guy, kill this guy, kill this guy, go. Go to the Xbox menu. Go to this one. Kill this guy, and then the cutscene in between where it's loading the next fight would keep going, and as soon as the round one started, because you went to the Xbox menu, it would pause the game right away. So I would be beating this one down here. Kill him. Hit the Xbox button over here. Go to this one. Unpause it. Fight. Back and forth between the two machines. I did this across like 6, 7, 8 machines at some tournaments to unlock all the characters. It was like the stupidest thing. You couldn't share the saves. It didn't work back then for a lot of those games. It was, dude, seriously, it was an AGDQ run. It seriously was. So it was really stupid and fucking annoying to have to do all this stuff. It was a pain in the ass. And basically what happened was that fighting games understood that, and now everything is generally unlocked. The only ones that didn't do that were, guess what? Nintendo games with Smash Brothers, where you still had to unlock everybody. And people I know have definitely found ways around that. And it's also very nice because Gaming Generations provides consoles to all these events, and so they're the ones who are responsible for unlocking everything. So when you rent the consoles for them, you assume they have all this stuff. So they will solve a lot of the problems for Splatoon. So if you do plan on running Splatoon tournaments, contact Gaming Generations. I don't know what their Switch situation is, but I got to imagine that they probably have a decent amount of Switches and stuff like that. But yeah, dude, you guys don't even know the poverty shit that we had to go through a long time ago in the FGC. This is another thing too. People don't realize how godlike everything is in the FGC is right now. Like, people don't understand how streamlined everything is compared to how it used to be a long time ago. Shit was straight fucking poverty status a long time ago. Man, that running tournaments sucked a long time ago. It's definitely a lot easier now. It's a lot easier now. So yeah, if you want colors unlocked for tournaments, you can for Street Fighter 5, you can contact Hango Gonzo. Oh, he loves survival. yes, put him through survival mode for sure. But here's the thing, is that with Splatoon locking all this stuff behind there's no easy way to get this weapon. You're actually hurting yourself from making this a proper esports game. Nintendo has to understand the conflict between making a game for players and then having this esports thing. Or just have it so that there is a pay to unlock option. It sucks. Like, and people will probably get mad, like, why is this here, or something like that. Or at least just give an option for, I mean, back in a long time ago, I remember for like F-Zero on the Nintendo 64, there was actually an unlock code that you could unlock all the cars. And I hella did that right away because I didn't want to sit there and unlock every car one by one. I thought that was shitty. The fun thing about F-Zero was to be able to play all the different cars. And that really annoyed me. So, dude, could you unlock all the characters on MVC2 in the arcade? Let me tell you how that was unlocked. So, basically, I don't know if it was MVC2 or CVS1. But one of those games, and I believe it was MVC2, is that you unlocked characters after a certain number of credits. So after a certain number of coins were inserted in the games, characters would get unlocked one by one by one. There are definitely stories of Wizard at Southern Hills Golfland when MVC2 came out. I think it was Wizard. It was somebody opening up the door and going bing, 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 on the little quarter switch. Basically for like 30 minutes or some shit like that to unlock all the characters. This is what we did back in the days, man. This is what we did back in the days. Jesus Christ, like you guys don't even know. Oh man, when people talk about like the glory of old fighting games, man, there was no glory back then, man. There was no glory. Oh man, jeez, it was really, really bad. But in any case, after 200 credits, you get marrow. I know, right? Like seriously, like. Nintendo has to understand that. Nintendo has to understand that. And it really, like, as I was playing Splatoon 2, I played it last weekend, and as I was playing, I was like, what the fuck? Why is this taking so long to level up? And you can get these meal tickets that can double your experience, but you can only get those by playing, I guess, Salmon Run or, like, the one-player mode, and Salmon Run is only open online for certain times of the day, and it's just like, okay, I get it, Nintendo. I get it. Like, you're making this interesting, great, like, one-player experience and stuff like that, but there needs to be a balance between creating this nice one-player experience for people who have never played Splatoon and for people who are in here for the esports aspect of it, if you really want to make the game esports. And who knows? Nintendo, what they did for Splatoon 1 is they literally unlocked modes as it went. So like I said, it didn't start with any of the ranked modes, like the King of the Hill and the Capture the Flag and the Tower Defense. Like, it didn't actually start with any of those. Those got patched in later as free content as it kept going. So who knows? Maybe Splatoon 2 all of a sudden will just have a patch after a month, like, here's all the weapons. Like, it just does it right away because they realize that this is a bad idea. Maybe they have a plan for that. But right now it's annoying. And it actually makes it so that, like, I'm less eager to go and play Splatoon again because it's really frustrating that I have to do all this unlock again. It's like, really? I got to do all this work to do all this stuff. I've already played Splatoon 1. I just want to play Splatoon 2 to the full extent right now. I want to experiment with all the guns because I want to find the gun that I remembered using before, and I want to experiment and play all of them. I want to try using some of the blasters, like the Luna Blaster. I want to try using, some of the other paintbrushes, some of the other rollers. I want to try using some, more slosh buckets and different guns and stuff like that. And the fact that they're all locked away from me right now is really frustrating to do. So hopefully, you just unlocked all the weapons at level 20. And right now, it's just such a slog to get to level 20 right now. It's such a slog compared to what it was before. So, in any case, that's all I've got for that topic right there for Splatoon. I really don't feel like that's a long-term solution for them. Hopefully they do fix that. Otherwise, I do love the game. I enjoy it. I like Splatoon. I want to keep playing more. It's level 30 this time? Holy crap, it's even worse. Jesus. Ugh. God. I'm only at level 10 and it's taking me forever. I don't even think I reached 10. I think I was like right on the cusp of getting to 10. Ugh. God, why are they doing this? Jesus. But yeah, in any case, I hope they fix that. I hope at some point in time they resolve that issue. But otherwise, like I said, it's a super fun game, and I just wish I had access to a lot more of the weapons, because one of the things I really enjoyed about Splatoon 1 is when I did get to the higher levels and I had access to all the weapons. I bought all the weapons, and I was able to just switch around between the weapons and see which ones were effective and stuff like that. That was super fun because I had already learned the game. And so I'm in Splatoon 2. Gameplay hasn't changed much at all. It's pretty much the same, except they moved the jump button. Why the fuck would you move the jump button? Why the fuck would you move the jump button from where it was in Splatoon 1? In any case, Splatoon 2 is a lot of fun. I really, really enjoy the game, and I want to play more of it. I just wish I didn't have to unlock all the stuff. I just wish I didn't have to unlock it. So it used to be at the top button. They moved it down to the main button. So on the analogous example here, jump used to be right here, and then they moved it down to here, and they put the map up here. I am a muscle memory player, okay? I go to the map every time I want to jump. There's a crevice with a pit in water. I run up to it, the map comes up, and I fall in the water and die. It's driving me nuts. It's driving... Yes, it's in a better place, but you know what? Yeah, any case... I have no idea any information about PSX, about Capcom Cup this year. I have no idea. They never... You keep staring at the controller for the map, right? You're like, playing. Oh, what the... There's nothing here! Oh, man. It's Yeah, if they just allowed you to map buttons. Come on, Nintendo. Get with the 90s. Jesus Christ. Please let me remap buttons. Jesus. Oh, man. Okay. In any case, that's all I have to say about Splatoon and esports there. Again, man, every time I do one of these Uncensored episodes, I'm like, man, am I going to have enough content to fill like even an hour and a half? And here I am on like 2.5 hours of Uncensored now here. So, but again, if you guys have any topics that you'd like to hear me rant about, like if you have any ideas, if you think you can emotionally spur me into a topic that I need cathartic release about, definitely, dude, Daigo playing on the pad is the most enjoyable thing ever, dude. It's the most adorable thing. It's so cute because he's literally like he's looking at it like it is the latest, like crazy, like I don't know, dude. I can't even describe it. It's like super enjoyable to watch. Dude, I can rant about Third Strike, dude. I can rant about Third Strike, but there's the Discord link up there. It's I'll put it in the chat again as well. There you go. So there's the invite link to the Discord. You can join the Discord up there, give me some ideas for topics, and just have a good conversation with a bunch of people. There's one of the things that I love about the Chen Dynasty right now, and is that I've got a lot of really cool people. I see Boats and Joes in there a lot. I see Asian Pikachu in there a lot. I see Tan Mana in there a lot. Guys are just talking about different games and everything like that. Boats and Joes usually puts up a lot of good, relevant links in there. You can see a lot of the clips of me getting really salty with fighting games, yelling about just basically dropping F-bombs like 90 times in a row because I'm really mad at Injustice or really mad at Splatoon or something like that. He definitely puts that in there. And we talk about food too. Yeah, there's a lot of off-topic stuff about there. So what do I think about Street Fighter hacked games? Like, which ones are you talking? Oh, like the ones where they try to develop their own systems and like try to make like the game all weird and combo crazy and all. You know what? I mean, like people, like. Let me feel myself right now again. If I was in charge of one of those things, I would make the fucking greatest game ever, okay? But like what a lot of people are doing, they've taken it a little bit too far. Shout outs to Kim Jong Trill. Kim Jong Trill. He has become a general in the Chen Dynasty. Alpha 3. Even though Alpha 3 is fucking broken as hell, and probably a worse game overall than Alpha 2 competition-wise because of crouch canceling infinite, I still love Alpha 3 way more than Alpha 2 because that was an experiment. That game, they did some cool shit, and I love the characters in that game. So, Jenga for Evo main stage, dude, that would be crazy. What flaws do I think Guilty Gear Xrd has? Right now, I mean, obviously Danger Time is really, really bad. I still am not necessarily a fan of instant blocking. I still don't like that as a mechanic overall because one of the biggest flaws, in fact, someone was even talking about, I think it was Ryan Hunter was telling me about, he was saying like Leo kind of breaks the system. Most characters you can learn to fight against decently without instant blocking, but Leo is like the one character that it's kind of required, and so it's kind of weird that happened that way. Danger Time obviously is a really stupid mechanic as well. But I mean, it's hard right now. It's hard because for Guilty Gear Xrd, I'm so enamored with the game that I'm kind of blinded right now into really loving the game. Whereas when you talk to a lot of the biggest Xrd fans out there right now, a lot of them are mad because Rev 2 is actually feels like a little bit less balanced than Rev 1. Like a lot of the strong characters actually felt like they got buffed, and a lot of the weak characters didn't get enough what they wanted. So there's actually a lot of top Xrd players who are really kind of frustrated with the way that the game has been balanced. And so there's definitely some concerns in that area. Again, I'm not good enough at the game to feel that yet, so I'm still just enjoying it in my own little merry way and stuff like that. So, yeah, Rainbow Edition, Koryu Edition. Yeah, I never played Rainbow Edition either because I thought Rainbow Edition was kind of stupid. I mean, it was such a novelty thing, right? You just played against the computer and threw 90 sonic booms, and so that they get up and you get a 90 hit combo that killed them. Obviously, it was hilarious and funny because I'm cracking up just thinking about it. But yeah, it's Biken is, I don't know. Last time I was playing, Mr. Bloodberry was using Biken, and he was starting to make me kind of a believer in Biken. I was really impressed with the way that he was playing Biken. So, in any case, are they really doing a good job for Street Fighter's 30th anniversary? Interesting. That is a good question. Maybe I'll think about that. Someone type that into the Discord to have it be something that I can remember to talk about. Yeah, talk about a bunch of different things. Write a bunch of stuff in the Discord about that, like my complaints about Asians in media, and maybe about like me talking about all the things that I don't like about Street Fighter V and what I would fix about it. Because, I mean, that would actually be really interesting for me to do because everybody sees me as a Street Fighter V apologist, that, like, I sit here and just, like, you know, I'm a shill for Street Fighter V. But I actually do think that the game has a shit ton of flaws. And it would be interesting to talk about it so people really did understand where a lot of my concerns come from. Although people have seen it. Like, I've argued with David about it on the Tuesday show. Like, literally, I've just been like, this is a problem. So, you know, people do know about that, but they just don't see it because I'm spending so much of my time trying to be positive and trying to be encouraging about things that I don't like talking about the negative side of things that much because it just doesn't really help. And as long as I'm privileged because I have the ability to talk directly to a lot of the Capcom reps, and I do that every once in a while. I try not to do it too much because you got to imagine how annoying it is when a Capcom rep sees me at every event, and then the first thing I do is like, this is what you should fix for Street Fighter. Like, I am not going to get myself in anybody's good graces that way. And eventually they're just going to stop listening to me, right? Because they're just like, God, he's fucking complaining again. Shut the fuck up. I've heard it. Can we just talk? Can we just be friends right now? Please? You know, like, that shit's going to happen. So you have to be careful about it. And it's a very delicate dance. But, you know, I do talk about it to them. I do let them know. So I will do my thing to try to help Street Fighter V. I don't know if they're going to listen to me. But, you know, I'm trying my thing. So, in any case, I did not play the Fantasy Strike demo. Unfortunately, I did not have a chance to play it. I do think that people should definitely look into it because if it is a good game for helping people get into the fighting game community, it would be really cool. It'd be really cool for if it could serve that role. I definitely have some concerns about it. I don't understand why the ninja character in Fantasy Strike has 100% of Ibuki's moves. Like, in any case, maybe I could talk about that some other time. In any case, Mega Man Legacy 2 is out. Yeah. Man. Capcom, please hire me. Please hire me to make a Mega Man game. I promise you, it will be a lot of budget. I promise you, Capcom, that it will cost a lot of money. But if you let me make my Mega Man game of my dreams right now, I will get you so much fucking money, it would not even be funny. Oh my god, the amount of money people would spend on this Mega Man game would be epic. Jesus Christ. Oh my god, it would be ridiculous. let me make this Mega Man game. Please hire me to make this Mega Man game. And hire me to help balance any future Switch games that you make instead of the shitty Ultra Street Fighter 2, whatever you did with the stupid tech throws and adding in freaking Shin Akuma and Violent Ken and stuff like that. Like, please let me help balance Alpha 2s and Alpha 3s and Alpha 1s and all the future games. Man, Ultra Street Fighter 2 could have been such a crucial thing. Because if they just made Super Turbo with fixed commands, oh my god, like that would already be like, oh, that I would just be like thrilled about that. But then you got put in tech throws and you completely nerfed the hell out of Ken and Blanca and Balrog that way. Okay, Balrog, whatever, that's fine. But Ken and Blanca are like super shitty now. And then you like, oh god, yeah. And then, anyways, there could have been, you took away the stored super for Honda and Chun-Li. Why? Why? They need that. They need that. That stuff is cool. Why would you take that away? Anyways, dude, Capcom, just hire me to make all your games. Please. Okay, in any case, that's all I have for Uncensored today. Thank you guys for, yeah, I've seen the Mega Man Maker. That shit is not gonna let me do anything that I want to do. Trust me. And dude, the Mega Man Powered Up games, oh man, I still think I've probably made one of the greatest stages in Mega Man Powered Up of all time. And I put it out there right away, dude. It's such a great stage because you could use all the different characters, right? Which was super cool. And so I made a full stage that took up the entire screen, the entire stage, and every character, when you played them, had a different path to get to the end, based on the powers that they had. And it was all very, very, very different. Some of them were action-based. Some of them were very puzzle-based. Some of them were ridiculously hard. Some of them were ridiculously easy. But the genius thing about the Mega Man Powered Up stage that I created is that every path crisscrossed and wound through each other. So you would go through one path in one direction with one character, then another character would go through that same path in a different direction and have a different experience through that section. Like, it was so cool. Like, even like Oil Man, he had this thing where you could ride a skateboard. So his whole level was at the very bottom row. And the bottom row was just him doing stupid skateboard shit all the way across to the bottom and getting to the end. But other characters would jump down in there every once in a while and run into that. And then, like, Fireman had the ability that if he stood on ice blocks, he would melt them. And he would drop through them. And Fireman was the only person to go through it. So there was one column in the middle of the entire stage where basically everybody would cross through in their own separate ways, but Fireman would actually go on top of it and then have to melt all the ice blocks and drop all the way through to the bottom. So he crossed through everybody's stages and continued on in a different direction. Like, everybody would go in all it. Dude, it was just like, it was the coolest stage. And I just felt like the way and when you started, you all started on the same screen. So with all your characters, you had to figure out which way to go with your character. It was so cool. It was the coolest stage, dude. That was such a sick stage. Oh, man. I really love that stage, by the way. In any case, all right. I'm done. Dude, if there was a way I could stream Mega Man Powered Up, I would love to show it to you. I also made a Mega Man Powered Up stage that I can't beat anymore because I don't remember how to beat it. I made an Oil Man stage that started you with a certain number of shots. And there was no enemies, so you couldn't get any more weapon power, and I gave you exactly the correct number of shots to get through the stage. But I made sure that there was like a billion paths, so you had to figure out exactly which was the best path to take. Nobody rated that stage because nobody could beat it. I think finally I got like 2 people to rate it. Shoutouts for Champ D for the host. But, yeah, dude, that stage was really, really epic. That stage was super good, and I don't remember what the optimal path is anymore. So I don't think I could beat it. I also made the sick-ass Cutman stage. God, I made the sick-ass Cutman stage where, you know, all Mega Man games have the blocks, like in all the Mega Man games. So Cutman, for some reason, they decided to give a wall jump ability. So I actually created this stage where it was a Cutman stage This was the sickest stage. I just made it so you had to do all these crazy ass wall jumps, but it kept getting harder and harder. And the final section of being really crazy was I mapped out the perfect timing of those blocks so that Cutman would have to jump and wall jump off of blocks that would appear. So you would like jump off of here, and then this block would appear. You would jump, and you'd be like, shit, there are spikes, and then this block would appear down here. So then you had to walk off this way, climb here, and jump off here, and do, like, I mapped out this long old section that was perfect about like wall jumping across all those different things like that. It was like the coolest thing. I thought it was super cool, and not only that, but like, I found hidden places that you could... I built in hidden places in that stage. There were 3 hidden places that you could sequence break the stage. Like, secretly sequence break the stage if you just did something like that you didn't... Like, that wasn't obvious at first. And if you did that, like, you could tell that I knew you could do that because I would put, like, a Yashichi item in there. Basically, like, I hid items in those areas that you could sequence break, and just basically as a way to show, like, you smarty man, you found this, so here you go, here's your sequence break. But like, I did a lot of really cool things on this. That stage was so cool. I designed so many cool stages in that game. Man. Fucking hire me to make a Mega Man game, dude. Fucking hire me to make a Mega Man game. Jesus Christ. I did play Mario Maker, and I made one stage, which was the most evil stage in the world. God, I loved that stage too. I loved my Mario Maker stage, but it was such an evil stage. God, that stage was fucked up. So basically, I made this stage where you started on the bottom half, and honestly, I kept trying to make more, but like, there was just so many ideas, and like, I actually got overwhelmed by Mario Maker, and I stopped making Mario Maker stages and stuff like that. Capcom hates money, right? Exactly, dude. But like, my Mario Maker stage was literally, you play the bottom half of the stage. I can stream this at some point in time too, but you played the bottom half of the stage, and it was just like a typical platformer. There were weird little things and like interesting things that you had to deal with, and it was funny. Like, one section was nothing but musical note blocks, so you had to jump across the musical note blocks. Then you got to the end, and there was nothing but Podoboos and like rotating fire chains, and you just get through that, and you're like, okay, that's interesting. And then you get to the very end, and you can't advance any further. You can only go up, and you're like, that's interesting. Okay, so you climb up, and you find a green shell up there. You find a green shell that's sitting up there. You kick it, and you start chasing the green shell, and it runs you all the way back to the front of the stage, and then you drop down, and then you have to play the whole thing over again, but now you have to babysit a green shell to not scroll out of the screen and disappear. You had to chase it, and it bounced off a wall. You had to chase it back, bounce off a wall. And then when you got to the musical note section, the green shell, the musical notes were designed specifically in a way so that basically it would hit the musical notes and bounce around. And so while you're trying to jump through the musical notes, you're dodging the green shell at the exact same time. And then when you got to the end, the green shell would jump up to the top, hit a bunch of blocks that would launch more Podoboos, and so in the last section, all of a sudden it's raining Podoboos from the sky, just so you babysit the shell all the way to the end, so that it would break the walls, so that you could get in and get to the flagpole. It was fucking genius. Like, I created a game where you would discover the second time around, it was a completely different experience. It was so cool. It was super, super, super cool. And yeah, I didn't design it, so Drunken Banana said it took 30 minutes to beat it. So yeah, it wasn't designed in a way that it was supposed to be like one of those stupid games where you have to play it 600 times in order to figure out how to beat it. It was done in a clever way that, like, you play through the stage and you're like, this is an interesting stage, and then all of a sudden you like, fuck, I see what he did. Oh shit, this is what I have to deal with. Like, that's just cool. Like, I just thought that was the sickest stage ever. I will definitely stream this at one point in time. I will stream this stage for you guys. So, maybe I'll do that in any case. But in any case, dude, like, just hire me to make video games, man. I can make some of the most amazing video games ever. And you know what? I still stand by this. I have a video game that I have had in my head for, God, like over 15 years now. maybe 15 years. I have a video game that I could make, that if Square Enix hired me and I could make this game, millions, billions of dollars, billions of dollars. They would make so much money. It is the sickest idea for a game ever, and I will never tell anybody. So too bad. You won't know what it is. But seriously, if they hired me, billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. I would have the sickest ways to just do a bunch of really, really cool things. I have a notebook too. I literally have a notebook with all these scribbles in it on how I would make this game. It is probably the most in-depth I've ever gone into trying to design a video game. And I just don't know how to make it, dude. Like, I just don't know if it could ever happen. But it would be an amazing game. It would be super, super fun. It would be super, super fun. Any case, all right, that's it. I think I've been going on for a little over 2.5 hours. So I think that's all I have for today. For Uncensored. Again, join the Discord. I completely veered off topic again. But join the Discord. Give me some extra ideas. Get me some extra... yeah, I know, right? I should just start programming it myself with Unreal and stuff like that. So, join the Discord. Give me some ideas on more topics that you'd like to hear. Come hang out. Join everybody else there. Just hang out. Have a good time in the Chen Dynasty, which is basically my official name for the jchensor stream, twitch.tv/jchensor these days. Hope you guys enjoyed Uncensored episode number 3. And tomorrow I might do a Guilty Gear stream again, but I don't know if I'll have a chance. I have to do some real-life adult work tomorrow, so I don't know if I'll be able to get to do the Guilty Gear stuff. But one of the things that I do want to talk about, they haven't officially announced it yet, and I was waiting for them to officially announce it, but I guess I'll just talk about it here. But there's a gaming festival in Chile coming up called Festa Game. It's coming up this weekend, and I'll actually be flying out to Festa Game. They're going to be flying me out there. I'm not going to be doing any commentary or anything. I'm just going to be a guest over there. So I'm basically going to be hanging out over there. Oh no, I'm not working at Semantic again right now, Agent Pikachu. But I will be at Festa Game in Chile. So if you are in Chile and you want to go and meet me, I'll be wandering around over there and hanging out for a little bit on Saturday. So I think that'll be super fun. I think that will be really cool. I can't wait to go. I'm really excited. Shout outs to their community for flying me out. I think that will be fun. I think that will be a lot of fun. So, in any case, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully I'll get some more Uncensoreds for you. Once CEO and Evo came around, it really kind of killed my streaming schedule, but I'm trying to get back into it. So again, you can watch me get salty through all the fighting games all the time. Last week was the week of Salt, but I'm definitely streaming a lot of that. I need to get back to Breath of the Wild. I wanted to on Monday, but I played Injustice for way too long because I got salty. In any case, follow me, subscribe, donate. If you shout outs to Hakel DRC, Hakel DRC for the subscription through Twitch, through Amazon. Oh no, yeah, with Twitch Prime. So if you guys enjoy the content, if you guys like the stuff that I do, if you enjoy Uncensored, if you want to keep watching me stream all the different fighting games, trying my best to promote the love for all fighting games out there, please donate and subscribe so I can continue this lifestyle of streaming as a blow-up and being a starving artist. In any case, yeah, I might do some Zelda tonight if I don't go to Wednesday Night Fights. I'm still considering going to Wednesday Night Fights. So, all right, I will talk to you guys later. Peace out, and always remember to suck my nuts, assholes. I'll see you later. Peace out.